I haven't gotten a notification yet.
Yeah, it says well, that's why I'm waiting for this window to close here. This is loading. And it's the same program, says it's live and not live at the same time, so I'm just trying not to have too much dead air. If it is live.
Dead air.
Where nobody's saying shit. Okay, so who did Doc Griffin have on? Because now I'm genuinely curious. Because Doc Griffin's a pretty good guy.
Yeah, well, come on, dude. You know who it fucking is, dude.
It's Tonka Saw?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, God. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, really? You're...
Was
like,
anybody the designated hoe that he just yelled at for fucking, 20 minutes?
Yeah, well, he pretty much did that to everybody, dude. Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of fucking just nonsense all around.
Oh,
but I was like, how are you letting him on?
That's so funny.
Yeah, like,
I'm
you know what's going to happen.
how Tonka Saw is doing, because, contrary to popular belief, I don't like Tonka Saw, but I don't hate him.
Yeah, it would be a waste of time at this point.
I don't have any, grudge or fucking long-lasting, ill feelings. I just didn't particularly care for the Bloodsport shit.
Yeah, no, it was nonsense.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what happened. I mean, you fucking know what he's gonna do when he comes on.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, because I'd only seen him on there one other time, and it went again how you fucking expect it. But apparently, he had been on a time even before that. And I assume that was the same. I'm guessing
Satan's in a call with fucking Lyman right now.
Oh, nice.
Doing fucking League of Legends. Alright, we're never going to see them. So they're definitely not going to be on. But we might see Futter.
Yeah. Yeah, right on. Yeah. But yeah, basically, I guess, I don't know what happened. I don't fucking care. I just don't. I guess something happened with some kind of doxing thing from one person. I can't even remember the fucking names of the people or their fucking, online names or any of that shit. But it's I guess one person said some dude's first name, and I guess if you knew the people involved, it was kind of easy to figure it out or something like that, I guess was the whole problem. And Tonka on his show kept replaying the clip from that other show where they said the name. And so they were basically saying it was doxing or something along those lines. Either way, it was just some fucking nonsense drama shit, right? But yeah, they have him on, and there's 10 people on the fucking stream. I think they had 12. I think he had the max.
Yeah, Gaming and Doc Griffin both do have that thing where they put on fucking so many people. Although now with Discord and the way you have to stream, I'm not sure there's a maximum anymore.
Unless it's I don't know if there is.
The Discord
I think it was
because it just it's not like Hangouts. Hangouts would only let you have 10 people on, I think.
But yeah, whatever the number was, somebody had to leave so he could come on. So
then it must be
some kind of maximum.
Discord has a limit then. Okay.
But I think it's 12 or something.
Yeah, that's still pretty decent though. I mean, that's not too bad.
But yeah, it was one of those times when just everybody loses. You know what I mean? Where
nobody comes out looking good. They all come out looking y'all kind of looked like jackasses there for a while.
Yeah, it's essentially what it was.
Maybe the audience gets a few laughs so they win,
Yeah. And I guess, Tonka for his little crew, obviously they're going to be like, yay, this is a big victory, and fucking whatever.
Can he still have victories when he's as reduced as he is at this point?
Yeah, that's kind of when I was thinking, I'm like, you fucking don't matter anymore. Especially you punked out to fucking Andy Worski. You're a bigger bitch than Andy Worski. That's kind of the way I viewed it even before the whole aim, shoot thing. But it's pretty much been confirmed that Andy Worski is a huge bitch too.
Yeah, oh yeah. So was it last night you were saying on Doc Griffin?
Yeah, this all happened last night, dude.
I just want to make sure I'm loading up the right stream so that I can watch it later. Because holy shit, that's 7.5 hours long.
Yeah, I think it happens roughly about an hour.
A fucking beast, man. I could never stream for that long.
Yeah, he doesn't normally. It's normally about 4 hours tops. So I don't know if the rest of the stream was talking about that. I fucking hope not. Jesus Christ, dude. I went back and listened to some of it because I couldn't watch it, dude. I could not fucking watch it. I'm like, this is fucking retarded. What is happening is exactly what all of us expected to happen. He was going to come in, try to redirect it to his fucking, what he wants to talk and how he wants to frame shit. And then fucking, if you actually confront him with something, he's not going to answer that. And he's going to ask another question that's barely related. You know what I mean? Shifting the goalposts or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah, shifting exactly the goalposts is a big part.
Yeah, he did exactly what he does. And I was like, why did you let him on?
Anytime you prove him wrong, he shifts the goalposts. That's his big move.
Answer what you just confronted him on. He'll fucking...
He'll move it to something else, and then all of a sudden, you're a fucking pedophile. And you're like, we were talking about fucking oil prices in Afghanistan, you fucking psycho.
Yeah, it's really... Yeah, it's gaslighting kind of. It's basically gaslighting nonsense. Gaslighting.
I think that's one of the few times that I ever got like annoyed or pissed off in like chats or whatever when I was on a stream, like the side chat to the stream and would like give people shit.
Right.
When they would gaslight me.
Right.
It's like I fucking call out and be like, hey, look, I don't know if this dude has that guitar, but that guitar does in fact actually exist. Like it is a real thing.
Right.
And there's like 6 or 7 of them in the world. So unlikely as fuck that dude has one, but it is a real guitar.
Right. Like it does actually exist. Yeah. But yeah, so it was fucking stupid. And I was just like, why, dude? Why would you... And I guess, like, because I kind of went back, I was watching a little bit of it today, like, after Tonka was off, because they kept talking about it for at least... I've only watched about maybe 30 minutes of the after effect or whatever. And Doc was like, no, I've had reasonable discussions with him before. And I'm like, have you really? And how long ago? You know what I mean? Like, I guarantee you it hasn't been recently.
He might have, because way back in the day, like, I'm sure a lot of people don't remember this, Takasaw used to just be like the chillest dude who would come in and hang out and just bullshit with people, and was a super nice guy.
Yeah. And then he got fucking the persona. He got a reaction from being an asshole.
It's the same with Andy Worski when he was hanging out with Failure and all that other stuff. I don't know about Andy Worski on his own because I never watched this stuff without Failure. But Failure brought a lot of people together, and like, Andy Worski was super chill on Failure stuff, and then so was Tonka-san and all those other people were just... It was great because you'd get to go and watch a stream, and it would be like hanging out with your buddies.
Yeah, and then they got big heads and fucking...
Yeah.
They thought it added like fucking 6 inches to their cocks or something.
Well, it's almost like... So in a bigger picture, the whole thing was all about SJW, anti-SJW, and
I remember
the anti-SJWs basically started becoming exactly like the anti-SJWs because success sort of booby-trapped them there.
Yeah.
So, like, suddenly the only way they're making money is because they're getting Patreon, and they can't make money off of advertisement. So it doesn't matter how many people are watching their videos, in as much as it matters that they're pleasing the audience they've already got, even though they're obviously trying to grow their audience, but their real money is being made when they're pleasing the audience they have.
Yeah, they basically get
turned into a big echo chamber. They stopped putting anywhere near as much work into it. There was no more research being going on. It was just like a fucking like a.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, this is for anybody.
The same article comes out in like 10 different websites.
Yeah. Right.
SJW articles.
Yeah, they all do the same shit.
Anti-SJW, like the same video would come out on 10 different fucking anti-SJW sites, and they fucking make the same exact points.
Yeah, they essentially copy each other. But I think a lot of them were assuming that the original person actually did the research.
And
without confirming any of it. Yeah. This is for anybody listening, because I know all this fucking story. Obviously, I lived through it too. It was fucking really disappointing, because that crew was really good for a while, dude.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Father, what's up? Say hey before we barrel along. Yeah. And I was going to say, and then the thing with Tonka-saw that happened was, it was the same sort of thing, but with that wrestling twist, which is what happened to make Bloodsports.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Just like the general fall of that sort of SJW, anti-SJW, like
the skeptic community.
Oh no, I can almost blame that 100% on Tonka-saw.
Well, I'm just saying it was like a combination of Tonka and his wrestling thing with that sort of inevitable echo chamber that comes with not being able to make money off of the advertising revenue anymore, and only from your fans who already are like this weird echo chamber.
Yeah, where you kind of have to play the character. You can't really step outside of it, or you're going to lose patrons.
Yeah, it's kind of like a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. And it's just slowly working its way down now too. Like it's slowly petering out. Like I think
hasn't that been dead for like a year?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's been gone for a while, and honestly, it was rotting. It wasn't really noticeable, but it was rotting well before Tonka came along.
Well, it was, but Tonka really did, like... I know everybody made fun with the quote-unquote community thing.
Yeah.
But he
fucked
you know what? Yeah, no, I think he divided that community.
Yeah, but there was more
really needed to be more united than divided.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It needed to be excised, in my opinion. Either excised or those people needed to fucking get back to work. Because, again, like we just said right before you came on, a lot of them were just copying each other. Like, one person would put out a video on a subject, everyone else would put out essentially the same video, and I think they kind of assumed that the original person actually did the research when they hadn't. And it came up with a lot of shit that was just fucking nonsense because they all obviously fucking just copied each other, thinking that there was actually some kind of factual basis behind the shit.
Well, actually, you say that coming from
lazy.
This side of the fucking community, but you go to like the BuzzFeed side, and they do the exact same thing.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's
saying. Kind of the point Stabby was making is the anti-SJWs essentially started acting like the SJWs they were covering.
Yeah, because they both were basically forced to cater to fringe audience. It was an inevitable ending point, I think.
Yeah, it was going to eventually end up in an echo chamber. There's still people that were doing.
It already was an I don't know, Stabby and fucking Skittles. You guys were around the same time as... Yeah, fuck off.
Stabbies and Skittles.
I'm Skittles.
Oh, Datewalk.
That's why we were laughing. It was just like...
Whatever, fuck off.
Oh, man.
I guess I'm Skittles.
No, Stabby was around the same time, we really did come into, that anti-SJW thing at the same time. Yeah. And we're part of the same fucking circles. Although we didn't talk very often, there's no lying. We hung around the same, online, we hung around the same fucking people. We talked to the same people.
Oh, yeah, 100%, man.
Yeah, that's where I met Stabby.
Yeah, Dator was in a lot of those chat rooms, too.
That whole, echo chamber thing was starting to happen when we came on board. And if I remember correctly, Stabby was one of the ones that was the same as me of I agree with 70% of what this guy said.
Yeah, exactly. And that started to
But I'll absolutely call out that 30% of bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a commie. Fuck off and die.
Yeah. There were an awful lot of closet lefties in that group.
Well, and that was the weird thing is there's no reason to be a closet lefty. There's no reason not to be left wing if you're reasonable about it. It's don't be a communist.
Well, no, even the communists. Here's a fun thing too: is I would classify our circle of friends as right wing.
Yeah.
Or right leaning.
Center right.
Yeah, right leaning is. I think right leaning is fair though. Right now, specifically.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know about you, but I'd much rather have a left-leaning person come in here and tell me exactly what their fucking real arguments are than listen to another one of those people fucking tell me how right the right is with 30 people fucking just parroting the fucking same thing.
That's so fucking true.
Yeah, it got fucking nasty. Now I can't. I fucking some of the people that I used to fucking love, dude. I fucking despise now. Jeff Holiday, Andy Worski, fucking.
Well, I haven't heard of
Armored Skeptic.
Armored Skeptic hasn't changed though. Like that's the funny thing. He might have capitalized on a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know about that. He's definitely a fucking arrogant prick, and I didn't see that when I first started following.
Well, I started following him after I started following Shoe on Head.
Yeah, I can't stand either of those two now, dude.
He was an arrogant prick from the get-go.
Well, he hit it well.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. He ever talked to the
guy? Doesn't want to admit that he didn't.
Yeah, I guess I only watched his prepared videos, I guess. So I guess I never saw him on live streams or anything.
I never really followed that guy at all. Like I just didn't care.
But he was kind of my introduction. Like the first few videos of his that I saw were actually fucking decent.
Oh, see, I went through Sargon like the rest of us, like the rest of the fucking crowd almost.
Oh no, I went through Lauren.
Lauren Southern.
Lauren Southern.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd like to go through Lauren Southern. I'll tell you that.
I'd like to get up inside that brain.
Yeah, have you seen her sister?
Oh my God.
Have you seen Lauren Southern's sister?
Oh, so fucking hot.
Hotter than Lauren?
Way hotter than Laura.
Yeah, I was gonna say Lauren's like she's hot, but she's not like fucking ridiculous hot.
Yeah, no, her little sister is ridiculous hot.
She's no sheepbot, I'll tell you that.
It's her sister that's hot. No, he's not hot. He's a very pretty man.
I mean,
before you get any ideas, he's my pretty man.
Yeah, I'm taking.
A mouth is a mouth.
How much cocaine does it cost you?
Let's be clear, this is my bitch.
Mouth is a mouth.
I'm somebody's bitch.
No, but
mouth.
Actually, Stabby, Satan's here now. He can actually vouch for that too. There's so many people that said, "Oh, I'm right leaning and everything else, but communism is okay."
Wait, hold on a second, Satan. Are you sure you want to vouch for something that Potter said?
No,
I think he's drunk more often than you are.
I haven't seen that. I see a lot of people go, well, no, I'm a centrist, but here's why we need to retake the means of production. It's like, no, that's not in the center, dude.
That's very far from the center.
or I'm a centrist, but here the reason why the 14 words are good. Like,
yeah, no, that's pretty far right wing.
You have these two ridiculous extremes, and them all sitting there going, "Well, I'm a centrist because this one opinion I have is actually kind of right leaning or actually kind of left leaning." It's like, nah, one doesn't fucking cut it.
Yeah, I want to bring back slavery.
They are going to eliminate you from being a centrist, no matter what most of your opinions are. If you're at one of those two extremes,
yeah, like
you're not a centrist.
You can't be an ANCAP or an anarcho-communist and a centrist. Like those.
Fucking ANCAPs.
Wait a minute.
Even if everything else you believe is centrist, dude, that's tough to pull off.
Anarchist centrokip.
Yeah.
I'm an anarcho-centrist.
To be fair, Futter was talking about in the very early days of the anti-SJW video makers, where there were a lot of people who were like super left-wing, just claiming to be centrists.
Yeah.
So that they could get on that like fucking.
Well, no, centrist wasn't a term. Centrist wasn't a term until
centrist has been a term since like the 40s, dude.
Yeah.
No,
they were called moderates back then.
Well,
we're talking internet days, not real life days.
With the Overton window shifting over to the right, like what's considered a centrist now used to just be like a normal Republican.
See, and you've mentioned that before, and I kind of let it slide. I don't think the Overton window is so much shifting more to the left or to the right. I think it's just the because like you have
radicals are very loud.
Well,
yeah,
if you
essentially,
I mean, if you look at like the policies between like let's say like the Great Depression and now, like Republican, like the overall, except for when Reaganism became a thing. Pretty much what we call a centrist now was generally like a moderate Republican.
Then or now?
No.
Then what we call centrist now.
No, what we call centrist now, at then would have been a hardcore Republican.
Well, that would have been right of center.
Swung.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like that's what the Overton window is.
Like I look at, and okay, fine. I'll look at everybody else in this chat. Daytwa, Stabby, Satan. You know what? Our social aspects, if you're to take us into the 80s, we actually probably would have been Democrats / liberals.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Just off of our views.
Okay.
Nowadays, we're
honestly,
right.
I consider myself a liberal, or at least left of center, pretty much up to the 2016 election, or pretty damn close.
My
views have not changed really that much at all, dude.
I just don't like that the term liberal no longer means what liberal has meant for
liberal means
centuries.
No.
Like, liberal no longer means what liberal has meant for fucking centuries.
Well, back in 2015.
For all of my life, at least, dude.
Well, here's the thing. Back in 2015, I was proud to be alt-right because at that point, alt-right on the internet, in these circles that we're talking about, meant that I was right-leaning centrist.
Yeah, and this
and now
was prior to Richard Spencer saying he coined a term, which is provably not true. It had been around for a year before he started posting anything. Like he had his little blog that nobody fucking read through Breitbart that was like one of the subsidiaries of Breitbart, but he had zero viewership. So like you can come up with the word, but if nobody ever sees you come up with the word and it starts getting used before anyone ever, like it's not your fucking word.
Alt-right, like granted,
they definitely own it now. That is for damn sure.
Yeah. It never used to be that you're a racist asshole. It was... There was an alternative on the right. You're right-leaning, but not a racist.
A fucking demagogue or a fucking religious fanatic or like what? Like it was these moderate Republicans or moderate fucking conservatives or moderate
business Democrats is probably the best description.
Like I'm thinking
you like
back,
the Republican, you like a lot of the Republican like business like kind of laws like the tax and the other kind of stuff, but you're still down with like legalizing weed and gay marriage is cool, like that kind of thing. Like you just didn't subscribe to the moralistic issues that the right wing traditionally had.
Well, and a lot of the what people think is traditional didn't even begin to be a thing until the late 60s, early 70s. The whole issue of like even the abortion issue didn't even come up until they started trying to court the evangelicals in around 1968. Because they
that was definitely a bad choice. Well, I mean, it was a good choice as far as like, getting the numbers, but
political power-wise, yes, but it's the.
But socially speaking, it's a terrible thing.
Terrible thing.
The same way that the fucking Republicans courted the evangelicals, ruining the Republican Party, is the same way that the woke everything has to be woke bullshit. Like I hate using the term SJW, but that shit is kind of fucking up the Democratic Party.
Oh, it's seriously fucking them over, man.
Well, no, the SJW is not a bad fucking thing to say.
Because, like, classically speaking, like what we call an SJW, we're not talking about the people that are just nitpicking everything apart just to be like whatever the fuck it is. Like, it was the people that were like doing the civil rights stuff, like civil justice, social justice, like the part of society that was handling the things that you don't want the government necessarily to. step in
which
and do.
may have been the case way back in the day, but now it's just this stupid fucking.
Well, now it's like
bullshit.
I mean, it's just like anything. It's just like anything else. Like no matter what it is, you could look at like feminism is perfectly fine, except there's like this little niche of people that kind of take it into the bad place, but they're also the extreme loudest and the ones that are going to get print and video because they don't make a lot of sense, and unfortunately they become the spokesperson for it.
Antifa, you know.
Well, and a lot of these things
we
have to.
Antifa's right. And you're like, no, that's not right ever.
Well, and the other thing that I think there's like two other things at work that we have is like we have a generational changing of the guard, which is dividing like even standard Democrats. Like you've got the Democrats, and you've got basically the new people that are Democrats, and then you have the new Republicans, then you have the old staunchy evangelicals that have come along a long ways. And so you basically have like two generations coming in onto the boomers and the Gen X and all that stuff. And then on top of that, you have the whenever you have anything like the evangelicals or the beginning of the radicalization of the Republican Party, starting with Reagan, you're going to have a backlash. And it's gone so far in one direction that the newer generations haven't seen any benefit. They weren't able to be fooled into it because they've grown up with a lot of these things that were allegedly going to trickle down and do this and do that. And so they're like, you know what? No, fuck this. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, our parents.
Who the hell has a fucking issue with how loud I fucking type?
Everyone.
Always.
How is that anyone's fucking issue?
Literally everyone.
I don't think you understand how loud it is. It's distractingly
Angie's
loud.
Not even in this stream, and I can hear her bitching about it already.
Angie's not even online. Fuck off.
That's how loud it is.
Sounds like he's angry at this keyboard. Like he's like, I'm gonna fucking get you this time.
Like politically speaking, like things like Medicare for all, or like taxing like the bazillionaires wouldn't have even made like Roosevelt or Eisenhower even blush, because that was like, I mean, and now that's considered like some radical, you're so far left, and it's like, no, man, that was
anybody who's ever dealt with Medicare does not want Medicare for all.
Well, not specifically that.
Well, no, actually,
say that offhand, man.
Actually, here's an argument that I have to say about that is, you guys all think that, like, as a generalization, you guys think that Canadian Medicare is so good.
Hold on, like, pause real quick, just for the record.
Who said that?
Just wait, pause. Just for the
How
record,
did I know this was
you did not give Jeremiah a wrench, so he got timed out.
Oh, God damn it!
I don't. Is he even still here, dude?
No,
I don't know.
That was like 20. That was like 20 minutes ago, dude.
Either way,
and we ignored him.
Well, and part of the problem.
I'm sorry, Mr.
No, the thing is I do think the Canadian Medicare system would work better in the U.S.
You mean
now? You shouldn't have that problem, Jeremiah. Sorry about that.
I mean, the big thing is.
But the thing is how much do you pay in income tax versus how much do I pay in income tax?
Well, dude, no. But that's not even the question, because regardless of your income tax, you're like, let's just say, I think it's about 35% scale.
The difference in income.
Let him finish his thought, man.
But here's the thing: like, what you pay in income tax is irrelevant, because, like, what I pay per year to have healthcare, just to have it, not necessarily even use it, have it, is right around $6,000. I promise you don't pay. Like, none of us in this call make enough money to where if we saw a slight bump in our income tax, that we're going to pay anywhere near that, and then have to pay on top of it to be able to go to a fucking doctor. Like, hands down, we like the average totals now in the country here. We spend just a hair under $10,000 per person for healthcare a year.
A big part of the problem with healthcare is that the government subsidizes so much of it. And then that just encourages the hospitals to be like, well, here's this unending pot of money. So
well, I mean,
let's just fucking squeeze it for everything we can.
It's a threefold problem because you look at the VA and you look at Medicare and they're poorly run, poorly funded, but that is not by accident or by necessity.
Wait, hold on. The VA.
Can I get you guys to shut the fuck up for a few minutes?
Yeah, no. VAs in general are actually run pretty well. It's just that there are a select few. Granted, that number is actually very large, but there's a shit ton of VAs across the U.S. There's
some run well.
Well, like I'd be willing to say, as far as the majority of them run well. It's just that the ones that don't run well run really, really fucking bad.
But just recently, like part of the problem with them is that we have more veterans and soldiers than we have the staff and the facilities in the VA to accommodate them in any reasonable amount of time. And people look at that and they're like, oh, well, it's socialized healthcare, so it's not going to work. It's like, no, but the thing is it's designed to squeeze them into the private sector, which up until recently they were not being forced to pay for. But I forget if it's federally that it was proposed or in certain states. I think it was federally that they're proposing to where the VA, if somebody goes to a private doctor, the VA has to cover that bill.
Okay, Sheepbot, I'm just going through like simple math here. You did say that it cost you $6,000 extra, right, per year?
Yep.
So your monthly premium for healthcare is $500 a month?
It's actually a little more than that. It works out to like $620 something and change.
And that's just for individual, right?
Right, and that's not counting co-pays.
That's for me and a 6-year-old. That's just to have a policy. That's not meeting the deductible. That's not meeting the copay.
Crazy.
I think you need to double check where your insurance policies are coming from, because here's the thing. Is if you want to go to the military end, I actually have a little bit of experience.
Well, military is garbage. Like, military is covered.
Well, no.
A VA.
No, I had a girlfriend down in the States who had to pay healthcare, and her healthcare was enormous. At the time, I think she was paying $240, and that was for her and her child.
Right. And what was her deductible?
$500.
Her deductible per year.
The annual deductible is $500. That's fucking low.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Essentially, she ended up having C-section and have to be hospitalized and everything else.
Well, that is a copay. That's to be in the hospital. Like, your deductible, the way it works is let's just pick a round number. Let's say I pay $5,000 a year for my policy, whatever. It'll also say, like, okay, you're responsible for the first like $2,400 or $3,000.
How many active taxpayers are there in the year in the U.S.? 30 million.
Way more than that.
It's something closer to like 280, 275 million, something like that.
There's over 300 million of them.
Yeah.
So let me
330 million, and I think there's about 280 years.
Let me just explain to you how this works. So let's say I pay $5,000 a year, and let's say I have let's just say like this would be considered okay, like a $2,500 deductible. That means, so I pay the $5,000 to have the policy, and then the first, like basically a certain percentage of each visit, up to $2,500, I'm also responsible for. So now I'm at $7,500. And then after that, it still doesn't cover it all necessarily. Some things it might, some things it won't. So I'm still paying a percentage of that. Plus,
have you ever thought about being smarter and getting a better insurance policy?
Have you ever thought about, dude, you don't even know about America if you think that's a bad insurance policy.
I mean, when I worked for Liberty Mutual, it was better than what you're describing.
But that's also an insurance company.
Yeah.
So I would hope so.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was definitely the best insurance I've ever had.
The absolute best I ever had was a company that paid for it outright, but there's that is the extreme minority.
That company probably doesn't do that nowadays.
Well, here's the funny thing too is, I just went to, what was it, 30 million people based off our last charged thing, because now they stopped charging us for health care, but now it's increased into our income tax.
Are you talking about Canada?
Yeah.
You realize...
Nobody gives a shit about Canada.
Canada.
No, I am actually...
Canada doesn't exist, dude. Come on.
Oh my god, what? No.
I'll save you the hard math.
$13 billion.
Canada
if you guys paid $14 or $45 per month per every household, no matter what income.
Yeah, but here's the thing: that part of the problem is not the insurance. Part of the problem is the fact that the corporations can all price. Like let's say I go to the hospital right now, this moment.
They should be able to price it.
No, here's the problem. Incorrect, sir. Because there's no cap on anything. So let me explain this to you. So let's say I go to the hospital right now. Let's just say, so if you have let's say you have no insurance. Okay, so you walk into the hospital. It's about $700 just to get signed in. Then you sit, and let's say you get signed in. You see one doctor. The first doctor comes up. You have, let's just say, a chest pain. Okay, so all of a sudden he comes up, he checks your vitals, all this stuff with the nurse. He says, "Okay, we're gonna do a scan." So they send you off to the scan. You get that done. So now you have a tech that's now done his job. And then a cardiologist reads it, a radiologist reads it. You've seen 4 people now. Each one of those people bills you independently of the hospital.
That's the way it should be.
No, it should not be, because you will not leave that hospital under $12,000.
Okay, then they build the hospital, and the hospital bills you out.
But that's not how it works. No, they bill you. They bill you independently because a lot of the doctors and nurses.
I've been to U.S. hospitals,
dude. I've lived here.
The service, it's like fucking. You know what? Imagine. Here's the thing. No. Shut up.
Does that make me French?
Here's the thing. Shut the fuck up for a minute.
I'm not even sure what you guys are arguing about anymore.
No, what he's trying. He doesn't understand how bills work.
See how I go to the U.S. hospital, and it's not covered under my fucking Canadian healthcare. But when I go to a U.S. hospital, it's like 5-star care. When you come to a Canadian hospital,
dude,
you might as well be spending in a fucking Super 8.
Dude.
Motel 6.
That's not even remotely true.
It really is.
It really isn't.
Both of those things can be true, though.
But that's you can be at a shitty hospital, and you can go to a fine hospital.
Contradicting the statement of the other person with what you're saying, though.
Well, the point is that I can tell you right now, Canada spends little more than half what we do per person per year on their health care. Full stop.
Whoop-de-fucking do.
Dude.
Like, have you been to a Canadian fucking hospital? Have you been to a Ritz-Carlton versus a fucking Motel 6?
Butter. Shut the fuck up. See the fact that you actually go to a hospital and a doctor without being like, if I go, am I going to be able to, am I going to go bankrupt? Have you ever had to consider that?
Yes, actually.
No, you absolutely fucking haven't, because your healthcare doesn't work that way.
Oh, you want to take this off air and we can?
I can tell you that almost. I can
show you some fucking bills that drove me into bankruptcy, but
that might be your financial situation. But 500,000 people go bankrupt every year from just medical bills.
Oh well, that I guess is their financial 500,000 people.
Yeah, okay. Every single year.
Yeah, well, in that case, Flutter, why don't you just be smarter and get better insurance?
Yeah, there you go.
Because that's not a fucking option where I live.
Oh, well, why don't you just move?
Because I have children, otherwise I'd be in your fucking country already.
Yeah, but your kids don't like you.
They like me more than they like their mom.
The problem
I take that to a win.
The problem is that Futter doesn't realize how the rest of the world works. He watches the news a little bit, and he's been to a country. Therefore, he experiences what it's like to have the system.
Oh, so when I was in your country, I didn't have to have my own private insurance. I didn't have to pay it.
Dude.
Oh, thank you for telling me how this worked.
Have you ever had a chronic situation or an extreme emergency where you didn't have an
extreme emergency? Yes.
How much do you know how much it costs to get an ambulance ride here? Do you have any concept?
It's about $400 a block.
Nope. It's about $3,000 for the ride, and if you get air evac, it's around 10 to 20, depending on if they have to go where they have to come from and take you to.
Can you cite that?
I've paid it.
Okay, but can you cite that on national averages?
You can Google it right now. Average cost of a.
How about you Google it and then paste that link, because I'm gonna go take a piss.
Well, go for it. I don't need to cite
you're
it
the ones. Here's the thing on why you need to cite it.
Does anybody?
Shut the fuck up.
Dude, go blow yourself in the corner.
Up. This is why you need to cite it. This is your statement, not mine.
Do you hear any arguments from anybody?
This is your statement.
We all live in America, dude. You have no idea what you're talking about. None. Literally.
I like to be in America. I like to be in America.
Well, I'll go through my fucking emails and see how much that ambulance ride cost me, but it wasn't $1,400 fucking dollars per mile.
Per mile? Who the fuck said that? I said for the ride. I got transported less than 2 miles and I paid $2,700 after a car accident.
Was it worth it? Did it save your life?
No.
Then why the fuck would you take the ride?
Because sometimes you don't have an option.
Yeah.
Because you don't know.
You always have an option.
No, you do not.
If the police make you take the ride, it becomes the police's fucking bill.
Untrue.
If you're going to die,
dude,
then it's your bill.
You're wrong.
Like that's
clutter. That's not how that works.
Not how that works.
That's not how the real world works.
I'll be right back. I get.
That's not how any of this works.
Who literally have to go to the like. Oh, he's saying here. I was gonna say because I have clients who are like conserved and legally required to go to the hospital if their conservator or like the proxy of the conservator said so. So if for whatever reason we have doctor's orders that such and such happens, so and so has to go to an ambulance to a hospital. They have to go to an ambulance to a hospital. They don't have an option, and the bill still falls on their head. It doesn't fall on somebody else's head.
Well, and then if they're
lucky, Medicare will cover it, but Medicare only covers so much.
And if you're hurt, but you're not dying, and you can't drive yourself, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, you have no real option. Yeah.
You're just fucked.
But here's the thing, though. I don't think that what you guys are talking about is mutually exclusive. Because you're talking about like the financial issues of it, and he's talking about the actual level of quality of care, like in Canada.
No, well, he's bouncing back. He's bouncing around like one thing versus the other, and it's like.
Well, that seems to be where he was coming back to the most.
Well, and the quality of care there is not subpar. Like paying extra here isn't getting you more or better.
Yeah, I'm not saying one way or the other. I don't really know. I'm just saying, like, it seems like you guys weren't even really arguing about the same thing.
Well, in general, the first world has all the same drugs, all the same procedures and techniques, because all the same companies that make all the same drugs and all the equipment sell it everywhere.
But do we have the same waiting times?
For elective stuff, you have longer wait times. For emergency and necessary things, you have about the same.
Dude, what about the qualifications for elective surgeries?
What do you mean What do you mean qualifications?
I mean, no, for
well, that's not true.
Well, that makes you eligible for surgery. I can tell you right now, my mother's got one hamstring. She is not qualified to get cadaver surgery for the other two hamstrings at the age of under 50.
What is her hamstring have to do with
this? Dude, okay.
It's a thing that it goes down to your insurance policies, actually.
Well, no, actually, there's no insurance policy that's going to just outright cover it because you elect to. Anything elective, pretty much no insurance company is going to cover, period.
It becomes a necessity of life.
No, it doesn't. I can tell you right now that.
Okay, fine. Let's exaggerate this. Are you good with the exaggeration, or?
I mean, it hasn't stopped you so far, so.
Okay, fine. Somebody needs a heart transplant. That person's under 50. They're no longer on the fucking wait list. That's Canadian fucking healthcare.
Dude, there's a wait list for organs no matter where the fuck you are.
Yes, we understand that, but I think there's a difference when you talk about socialized medical care being much less realistic about how that works. And it's not necessarily a case of that it's socialized, it's a case of government meddling.
Well,
so like,
here's the thing.
There's a lot of things that in other countries that have medical care.
Hey, you're over 45 and you need
you can't get that you.
Well,
genuinely
you can't get that in this country.
Well, here's the thing. Even in America, let's just say, all things being equal, you can get bumped right to the front. Guess how much that's going to cost you?
Well, yeah, cost aside, we're talking about things that like either change drastically people's quality of life or whether or not they are alive. I mean, like cancer treatments and stuff can be refused in a lot of in cases over there.
Which that's actually not true. Like people are not getting refused for cancer treatment and shit like that.
Actually, they are after the age of 65 in Alberta.
You're saying it's not true. He's literally saying like this is stuff that happens. Like
this is literally things that are happening where I live. And you're telling me your $2,500 copay is a fucking deal breaker.
Do you think that's what you pay for a fucking transplant here? If you hit your copay?
Oh no. I'm talking about like the quality of care,
dude.
Compared to what you get?
Well, define quality. Do you think the heart transplant or cancer treatment is better?
Than what, dying? Or just being put in hospice? Yes, I do.
Do you know how many people die here from lack of fucking healthcare, period, every year?
It's not my fucking issue that they can't fucking get a health premium.
You're an idiot.
Yeah, well, no, they can go to the ER and then it comes out of our pocket if they're not getting a health premium. Like, keep that.
Well, if they don't own a fucking house, they're gonna get treated.
No. Well, here's the thing: if you can go in for something that's emergency to an ER, and yes, they have to treat you if it's life threatening.
You can go in. You can go in for basic medical under certain circumstances for basic medical.
With certain circumstances, yes. If it can become something more complicated,
that ends up just getting amortized basically into everybody else's costs.
Which is true, and that's part of the reason why they're expensive. But like, if you go, like, say you have cancer, they're not gonna like just treat you for cancer in the ER, and we all know this. Like, that's not controversial.
I'm sure you can.
No, you can't. My mom's an ICU nurse in California.
I thought you could repeatedly go to the emergency room for the treatments for cancer and stuff like that too.
But again, California is the same as every other state, right?
They have the same federal rules and medical laws, yeah.
Okay.
Like, if I have, let's say I'm diabetic and I don't have my insulin and I start going into a diabetic coma or shock, I can go to the ER and they will treat me.
Yeah.
Like that'll happen.
I think don't they also do like aren't they also required to do like
they're only
what's the one with
required
the kidney failure,
dialysis
and stuff like that. I thought
they
that
will
if you were
they
getting
will
cancer treatment prior to losing your insurance and you lost your insurance, you could continue it by going to the ER to get each individual treatment after.
No, because you have to go through an oncologist for your for cancer treatment. You have to go through an oncologist. So if you're doing chemo, they don't do chemo in an ER. If you're doing radiation treatment, they won't do it there. If let's say you have complications from it that are not oncology related necessarily, they'll see you then.
Help work on that, because that's genuinely I don't know. I'm just curious, like that one.
It's basically. So let's say let's say I have cancer and I'm getting treatment and I lose my insurance and like I have symptoms of the treatment and stuff like that, or I'm just sick. They will treat all the symptoms. They will make sure I do not die that day. They will not, however, they might even try to refer me to a lower cost oncology, which doesn't really exist,
or help you find like a charity that'll help fund things. And stuff like that. No, I understand how that works.
Yeah, they'll totally try. But like, if I need, let's say I need.
And I think both systems are broken in their own special way.
So,
but
none. Yeah, there is no.
Actually, let's just try and wrap this argument up there, Sheepbot. Are you saying that the Canadian system's better than the U.S. system?
I am.
You are. Can you please also tell me how the socialism is bad based off the arguments?
That doesn't make any fucking sense, because socialism is not socialized healthcare. Socialism is a very specific.
Can you explain to me how socialism is not socialized healthcare and the two are not related?
Wait, what?
Well, first of all, okay, fine. Do you guys have public transportation? Do you have a police department?
Yep, absolutely, same as you guys.
Who pays for it?
We all do.
There you go. Are you a socialist country?
A little bit.
But see, this is the thing. If you look at what socialism actually is, there's no chance that you or the United States could become socialist. Not even by, to be actually socialist, it would require a lot different. Well, not even that. By our own constitution, it's impossible to become socialist. You would have to literally redo the fucking document.
Well, what is socialism?
I'm gonna let you Google that, because that is a long, drawn out fucking conversation right there.
Oh man! Is
like,
there
it's a
anybody
very
else still in the
specific
stream,
thing.
or Futter and Lyman just chased everyone off now?
Well, no, socialism is a very specific thing, just like communism is a very specific thing. Just like, we have a mixed economy. That's what we have.
Both of our countries do.
Yeah,
right.
The majority of countries around the world at this point have a mixed economy. The problem is with it shifts too much to one thing, like communism. Everything that goes towards communism all the way ends up going to shit sooner or later. But
and even legally speaking, we have no danger of this happening. So it's like not even a conversation for any serious conversation.
And to be fair, like straight capitalism ends up being almost as bad as communism. So all three of them are bad in their own special way.
End stage capital, basically, it's impossible to be purely one thing for it to turn out okay. It's like different tools for different jobs. Like,
agreed.
Do I want? It's like, do I want? Does capitalism make sense for life essential things like? Food or healthcare? Not particularly. Does it make good sense for things that are elective and more luxury stuff and things you don't necessarily depend on? Yeah, it makes better sense for that. Like, I would not want my roads and my power lines and everything, all the infrastructure, based on some fucking company deciding whether or not it's going to audit itself and do things correctly. Not to say there isn't problems in both directions, but when profit is your primary target, whatever benefit people are supposed to get from it becomes at least secondary. And when you have board members and stockholders that become the primary thing you want to appease and your pocket,
all right, I'll be right back.
Then it's absolutely impossible to have.
Yeah, I think the government is just as bad though when it comes down to that. Like you're looking at corporatism versus like government control. Like both of those are bad.
But that's the reality of how things like work. You
need more choice driven to like just individuals, as opposed to being made by the government and the insurance agencies about what is and isn't allowed.
With certain things, yeah. But the problem is that individuals, when you have a society, you can't leave everything up to an individual. There's got to be some consistency and congruency.
We live in a society.
Well, and that's the thing is I can't vote out a corporation.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then in some cases you can't vote out politicians either, though. Like you can't vote out a Vermont senator.
I mean, you could.
You could move to Vermont, but that's fucking absurd. And so obviously you can't.
Oh, you mean?
That's what I'm saying. Like unless you live in Vermont, you can't vote out the Vermont senator. But he makes calls for you just the same. So I mean, there's a little bit of give and take no matter how you slice it.
But I mean, if all things being equal, if a company runs something, you have zero recourse.
True,
especially when their money buys.
Unless they have a monopoly, you have zero recourse.
Well, we don't give a shit about monopolies now.
Well, now apparently, oligopolies and monopolies are totally
fine. We haven't given a shit about a monopoly since people got bent out of shape because Microsoft was forcing Internet Explorer into fucking Windows, which was the late '90s, mid-late '90s. Like, we don't give a fuck about that. If we gave a fuck about that, I would agree with you that there'd be some recourse, but there just isn't.
Well, I'm just saying, like, it depends on the situation because there are certain cases where no, you don't have a recourse because that corporation is so big that there's nothing you can do. Like, obviously, Microsoft being a great example of that. Google taking
Amazon,
over YouTube, fucking everybody.
Amazon's
on that way, yeah. For sure.
I would say Amazon has more stranglehold than these other companies do because all these other companies, with the exception of Google,
Amazon is legally allowed to put shock bracelets on their fucking employees, and everybody's like, "Yeah, but I'll still order."
Well, here's the thing.
You want like a more evil, fucking sinister like indicator? Like I can't imagine one. Like all of our employees have these shock fucking bracelets on that if they don't do their work, they get electric shocks.
I can give you an even spookier fact. So Amazon Web Services basically does majority of the hosting that's done in this country as far as data goes, including government data. They have a special wing of their AWS services.
Oh, fuck. That's how Microsoft got so fucking big.
Well, even Microsoft uses a lot of the AWS stuff.
Well, now, but I'm saying when Microsoft was coming up, the government basically were like, we got your back because we need these systems for the war, and we're gonna need them to be fucking
way back,
comprehensive and all the same.
But here's the even spookier part about it is, so now, okay, I mean, we know the surveillance in this country is fucked up. We know this. Like that's not even a controversial thing to say. The Patriot Act's a thing, and we keep re-upping it for some unknown goddamn reason. But
mute your fucking keyboard, dude.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh man.
So I mean, look at it this way: the government has basically unfettered access to pretty much most of everything,
information.
But specifically Amazon Web Space, because they host a lot of their military stuff on it, a lot of their just intelligence stuff through it, a lot of things. Amazon has been creeping and buying up scores of different companies and technologies over time. They are most certainly bigger than Microsoft. Most certainly bigger than most things. Google's the next closest thing that we have to them. They should be broken up a while ago, like a hot minute ago. Both of them.
Oh yeah, 100%. But then again, look at like fucking Ma Bell still exists and PG&E still exists. So,
but even Ma Bell was forced to break up. That's why you have like.
But the same people basically still own all the separate companies. It's just it's not one big company anymore. You know what I mean? Like it didn't really get broken up. Not at the point where it matters to the amount of power and influence that it gave a very small group of people.
Except that they all became, if they were going to be on the market and traded and stuff like that, they had to treat themselves as individuals. And then you had to look at whether or not they were doing price fixing and any kind of non-competitive agreements between themselves, which then they could be held accountable for. I mean, basically
yeah, but the government really only went so far as to actually enforcing all that.
Dude, I think it should have gone a fuckload further.
I agree, but then if you look at it, what really kind of fucked the phone companies over was cell phones. New product coming out that basically rendered them, I mean, nowhere near as valuable, essentially.
Okay, just put it this way: do you know where the majority of the money that came, like the South, like whatever they were getting broken up, whenever those giant,
like Southern Bell Company and
like Swabibs, like whenever they got broken up, like you know where the majority of their money actually came from? Because it wasn't from phone service.
No, what was it then? I'm curious.
Phone books.
Phone books, really? With way back then.
The advertising in it.
Yeah, yep. Advertising in phone books and the sale of phone books, distribution and all that shit was where they made the majority of their money.
Oh, that makes sense because it was back in the day when you wanted something or a service or something, you literally
had to check the yellow pages or the white pages.
Yeah,
and I fucking forgot. It's been a while since I've done that, but yeah.
And
no, like that's what my granny used to do, and she sold ads for Yellow Pages.
I
got a regional district manager of the Southwest before she retired.
Can somebody start talking me in text again so Satan can just be annoyed?
Well, I mean that realistically, that's how most of these companies, whether with the exception of Amazon. But here's the dirty thing that Amazon does factually. So let's say
they buy the other companies and just
well, they do that, but this is even skeezier than that. Is like, let's say I make, I don't know, a hoverboard.
Just for the record, I'm still doing all my Christmas shopping on Amazon Prime.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's say I make a legitimate hoverboard, right? Or something less specialized. Let's say I make a really, really good version of a cable, okay, whatever it is, and I sell it on Amazon.
Yeah, cool. you made the cable that allows you to charge your phone twice as fast from the wall out.
Right. Let's say I do that, and so
that'll be something big.
Well, what they do is they basically make the Amazon Essentials version of it. But they get the ideas based off of what is being sold on their services.
How is that any different than 3M? You realize 3M has not ever created their own fucking patent? All their patents are improvements on other patents.
It's not even an improvement for Amazon. What they do is they make a generic knockoff based on its success. So if I have a really successful product on Amazon, then they look at what's most successful and they make an Amazon.
I mean, to be fair, though, that's kind of a common thing with foreign markets in general.
100%. But it's fucking Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon basically rules the market and everything that they make. So.
Right. Exactly. And that's
I
where
would
it's
imagine
dirty.
your option at that point is to basically sell your idea to Amazon so that they can basically market it as whatever you had it labeled as, but with them making the majority of the profit afterwards.
It's funny you say that because what they do is they will undercut because they can sell volume and they can make it so cheap is they'll undercut the fuck out of the competition that initially started selling the idea on there and put it to a point where... I guess
those competitions should have had a fucking better patent.
But that doesn't matter because you can't patent it unless you develop the technology, the actual technology, and get a patent on it. You can't patent the physical object that does something that already exists. It has to be a certain percentage different enough to qualify for its own patent.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the
fair market, bitch.
But that's not a fair market, because how if I'm Amazon and you make something, how are you supposed to have any chance at that? Because I can just throw money at it and I can sell it for a penny and never lose a dime on it.
Are you new to the fucking real world? That's the way it's been for a long.
That's not how it's been for a long fucking time, because we've never had companies this large with this much reach, with this much power.
Back in the day, this is where I said 3M.
Wait, no. I was going to go with the East India Trading Company, sir. You want a company that was as big as Amazon is now easily and had as much power?
Respectively, yes.
Yeah.
But
for
at
its
the same
time,
time,
obviously, if it was the East India Trading thing now, it would be fucking nothing compared to Amazon. But at the time,
I will say this though: they were facilitating they just had the power of reach and bringing stuff and import export, which is important.
You being kind of like Amazon.
But but Amazon, what they'll do, like, let's just say I make a cup that is the number one selling cup in the world right now. What they'll do is they will just copy it and
do you have a patent on that cup?
Yeah, it's called reverse engineering.
Exactly.
Do you have a patent on that cup?
You can't patent a fucking cup. What are you gonna do?
Why are you putting your
design or your logo?
Well, yeah, but that doesn't matter because
copyrights on your logo or design.
Well,
yeah, these laws are actually been in place a lot longer.
The only problem you run into is like the problem with like trade laws, like in China, and that's why that's why they can reverse engineer anything we make and then sell it way cheaper, and then we lose out.
Here's the thing: if I make a coffee cup that just has a Sheepbot logo on it, yeah, I can patent the logo. But
you copyright logos, but yeah,
you copyright a logo and you right. And if I have something about the coffee cup that is, for whatever reason, it's the number one selling coffee cup, they like the color, whatever. Unless I own the patent for that color, which good fucking luck getting that done. All they have to do is just make the same coffee cup with the same color, minus the logo. Unless my logo is why people are buying it, which unless you're a fashion brand, they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Or an Instagram influencer.
Right.
So why are you selling coffee mugs? Stop wasting your time.
You could say that about 99% of things that you see
exactly.
out there.
That's exactly what I'm getting at here.
But the point is that all they have to do.
Original. That's what you have to do. Be more goddamn original.
But the point is that no matter what it is, they can afford to sell it to undercut at
How's that a fucking problem?
Well,
you don't understand.
Welcome to free market capitalism, man.
But that's not technically how it's supposed to be working.
But that is how that technically works.
Untrue.
Are you fucking retarded?
Untrue. That's why monopolies.
Oh yeah, free market capitalism should have definitely. You're only allowed to spend this much money.
That's
no matter how much money you make.
I think honestly, Sheepbot. I think you gave a really bad example using coffee mugs.
Probably.
You could use much better things. So I knew a guy that I used to be friends with, that I used to party with back in the day, and he invented a new kind of vape pen. And basically, he was 3D printing them at his house. He had 3 3D printers all hooked up to computers and everything. And he could produce one of these special kind of vape pens, I guess, like every 2 days, based on how many materials it would take to print and put together.
And how long it took to print and all that stuff.
Exactly. So he made these ones that were necklaces, so that you wouldn't have to share them at parties and stuff. And basically, the connector where the necklace would connect at was the battery pack. So whenever it was disconnected, the battery wouldn't be in use. Whenever it's connected, you could just hit it whenever. Pretty good idea. But he was worried about a Chinese company, finding his product, reverse engineering it, and then reproducing it, because even though he has a patent on it, the patent laws don't apply to overseas markets. So
very few.
He ended up selling his idea to a bigger company for I don't know, a couple 10,000 plus tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they never produced it. They just bought the idea so he couldn't make it.
Well, and more common things like.
Wait, pause. What was your point to that story?
that patent laws don't apply in other nations, and that's why reverse engineering fucking sucks, and that's why that's why smaller businesses generally sell their products and they disappear versus them getting produced.
The difference is that like, let's say I make an Ethernet cable, right? And it's just like, oh, it's stronger, it does its thing, it's an Ethernet cable. All they do is they literally look at their top selling products that they sell through their Amazon market, and they just make their own version of it and then undercut the fuck out of it.
So are you saying that patents are just useless nowadays?
How you can't patent a fucking cable for a technology? You can patent the technology, not the cable.
Well, they already did patent it. It's just the patent has run out. Patents just protect you.
They only last
to reproduce things.
Well, of course, but IEEE, anything that's an IEEE standard is well outside of patent range.
Well,
and then you also have to include the difference between I think some people get confused with like if you write a book, you own the rights for like 100 years or something. Versus if you invent something, the patent lasts for what is it, like 2 to 3 years, 4 years?
7.
7.
Some patents are different, aren't they?
No, I think in general patents, unless it has changed drastically since ever I was learning about them and all that shit in fucking college. 7 years, like just a general rule. They last 7 years, and then at 7 years you can renew them. And if you don't, then they just become public domain, and anyone can now profit off of that idea.
Oh,
whatever. But no,
okay.
they're 7 years.
Up to
Hold up. A utility patent is generally granted for 20 years. A design patent is generally granted for protection for 14 years.
Psycho says sell your patent to fucking Disney; they'll hold it forever.
Well, there was a case in the last few years. I don't know if it ever got resolved. There was a drug company that the patent was running out on their medication, and what they were trying to do is
Suboxone.
Not that one. I forget which one it was. It was not a regular brand. It wasn't a super popular, well-known thing unless you had a very specific condition. And what they were trying to do is they were trying to sell it to a Native American reservation because they're technically a sovereign nation. And so
smart move.
So they could still maintain control over it. They were trying to basically sell it and contract it. That isn't gonna fly, thankfully. Because can you imagine just fucking like just dumping money, just being like, hey, you give me this, I'll give you that. You maintain this and follow these rules that we want.
Now you mean like free market capitalism?
Free market is an illusion, dude. If you don't understand how
there are some aspects of free market that are very good. And
there
are
like
some
you make mustard,
that are
I make mustard
right now, very very badly, and it's kind of like a weird gray area in a lot of those cases. There's a difference between a company using its money to produce better products and then outsell another company versus using that money to make it so that other companies can't even get started.
Exactly.
And that's where you have to draw the line.
Right. If you make a better Hoobajube than I do and it just sells better, that's fine.
That's 100% what free market's all about. But it's not supposed to be about like, well, you started this company, so now I'm going to go and buy out all your suppliers so that you can't get anything to make your product with so that I don't have to compete with it at all.
Well, and then translate that to drugs.
Yeah. Or anything, really. I mean, it's especially inhumane with drugs, but, like, it's just as fucking frustrating with phones or cars or...
Well, sure. But, I mean, like... And I guess that's kind of the point that kind of brings us full circle to the point that, like, if you need drugs... to live, like if you need insulin, you need.
I do need drugs to live,
and Stoney does. Like, or you need medical procedures and equipment to do it. It's like, yeah, you can sell it and make a profit and all that stuff. But if you're just gouging the fuck out of it, knowing full well that people 100% like needed.
Well, the bigger problem is that everyone thinks the doctors are making the money. It's not the doctors. It's all these administrative groups. There are so many administrative groups now overseeing everything, and they're the ones making all the money, and the CEOs are. Like my buddy's an ER surgeon. He makes $180,000 a year, and he says about a fourth to a third of his salary goes to medical malpractice insurance.
Yeah. Well, and like it's a fair point to saying like, hey, you know, doctors should make a lot of money. They put in a lot of work. But you know,
doctors
now they're not making a lot of the money that they're bringing
comparatively, right now, doctors make less money now with more expensive procedures and drugs than they did when the procedures and drugs were cheaper.
The hospitals are making the money.
The hospitals make the money.
The hospitals are making the money. That's the problem.
Yep.
More than anything else.
All right. I gotta go get smokes. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely, man. You and your keyboard are always welcome, Futter.
Don't tell him.
Don't you dare fuck with my keyboard. You're just jealous that your keyboard's not as loud as my fucking keyboard.
And yeah, I mean, ultimately, the problem isn't that somebody's making money. Like, that's really not the problem. It's just kind of, you know, it's the other point that gets missed with like the medical stuff is the amount of people that can participate. Like, you can either make it in margin or you can make it in volume, like with anything. And the more people you have able to participate in the, like, let's just say, like, not literally, just for the sake of explanation, like the cost of everything got cut down by 50%. If that enabled more people to participate in something to where you still could make as much, if not more, over time because you have more customers, in this case patients, it still works out. But that's not the way they look at it, because they want to see perpetual growth. That, you know, none of the board members, the shareholders, any of that shit want to see anything
but limited price anything management when it comes to medical companies, especially when it comes to prescription medications. That is used effectively in other countries.
Oh yeah,
so, I mean, but then at the same time, are those countries coming out with the same things that the U.S. is coming out with? So I mean, you got to figure out where's that happy medium that you reach.
Well, here's what I know. I mean, pretty much every medication that we have here is exponentially cheaper in other places, and and we sell them the drugs. Well, not we as a country. We, like a lot of the companies that operate here and operate overseas and stuff like that.
Yeah,
they get it. It's all. It wouldn't be as big of a thing if they could sell it there, and we are not the bleeding edge of medical technology as a country. We're not super behind, but we are certainly not.
I'm not saying that the only way for innovation to come about is through capitalism. Don't mistake that. I'm just saying.
Oh no.
There's a fine line that you got to figure out the balance. Where you're managing stuff a certain amount, and you're enabling enough for free market that there still is reason to innovate.
Well, I mean, with medical stuff, there's never not a reason to, because people do get. It's not a matter of if you get sick or if you get hurt or if you're going to die from something. Well, it's how and when.
It's how much money is it worth putting in. So
I mean,
is it going to be the government putting in the amount of money that it takes to continue to have the innovation that we have? Or is it going to be private corporations that put in that money? Because if they're not going to get any of that money back, it's certainly not going to be corporations or companies.
Well, and they'll still make plenty of money.
Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. You don't know. I'm just saying they're not going to put money if they're not getting anything out of it.
Well, and I guess
as much if they're not expecting as much of a profit.
I mean, they make exponentially more than they spend.
Yeah. Oh no. To an extent that it could definitely be monitored and changed from what it is.
And I mean, and it doesn't necessarily have to be cost free, but like if you look at something like amoxicillin, which is well fucking paid for, like that's still like cash pay for that is still in between $40 to $100 depending on the dosage and where you fill it. Like that's fucking nuts, and it doesn't seem like a lot, but like for somebody who doesn't have a lot, that's like the difference between like getting like a blood infection or dying from a fucking toothache. Like, why? That's another thing. Why isn't fucking dental considered medical? I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and there's
that's a
what
fucking
is it,
scam.
Jonas Salk didn't patent the polio vaccine. Like, that's not like going to be very common.
And but
like that's not going to be
and you know what?
place where somebody's like, I found the thing that's going to solve everybody's AIDS is cured. Well, I'm not going to patent it because I wouldn't want people to make generics. They're going to make as much money as they can off that. Like 90% of the people out there.
It's just it should be at least regulated because now
I don't disagree with you on that.
What should be regulated?
The price of medication.
Okay, and who should regulate it?
There's a lot of ways you could do it.
Okay.
I mean, ultimately, it comes down to legislation.
What other body than the government have you ever heard in answer to who should regulate it?
Because that's what I'm waiting for, is someone to have a better answer than the government.
The government's not the best answer. I'm just fucking wondering why you even asked. Well, I'm like, who else does the regulating? Bob down the fucking street?
Because government regulation can't always be trusted.
Well, you know what definitely 100% can't be trusted? The companies to regulate themselves and do the right thing. 100% of the time. So, I mean, if we're going to sit there and compare which is the lesser of evils when it comes to regulating prices of something that literally everybody needs, I'm going to go with the people that aren't trying to
So
get their
you're
stocks
for
up.
I'm guessing you're for socialized healthcare or universal healthcare or whatever they want to
Some
call it.
version of it, because there's a lot of different ways to do it, but yeah, in some form.
Okay.
I think he's probably the lonely one on this stream that is, though, to be fair.
Well, maybe a balanced approach, having some of it socialized and some of it not.
I imagine Satan's healthcare is just like a bottle of Jack Daniels and a 12 gauge.
Well, and
yeah,
I mean,
I got that Kurt Cobain plan.
well, and I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it. Like, we refer to it as universal healthcare or socialized healthcare, but like the way it's all done is, like, we have verifiably proven examples of how it can work, and so literally there's no excuse for us not to find a way that does work for us.
Can I see a verified, proven example of one that'll work?
You can look at France, you can look at Germany, you can look at Australia.
I would like you to look up what they do exactly that is going to work from the U.S. and then post it if you could.
Well, ultimately it becomes taxes. I mean, it's always It's always taxes. How else does anything get paid for?
The population of France or any of these other countries is so minuscule to the United States.
But you scale it. It doesn't just, you don't just say, okay, I'm going to tax what France does. You scale it, just like anything else.
The economic brackets are completely different.
Not entirely. You scale it. You make it fit to what it is. Dude, you think we can spend $1 trillion on fucking 11 different super carriers and fund all? I mean, that's like saying, well, our landmass is bigger, so we can't have mass transit. Like, we make it, you fucking scale it. It's not that difficult.
I mean, dude, the government only mismanages money. It's not going to work.
Well, and let me put it to you this way. California alone has it's either the fourth or fifth largest GDP on the planet.
Oh, California.
And for whatever their politics are worth, they're not in poverty, dude.
We fucking absolutely are.
Well, there's parts of it, but you know what? That's an America problem. That's
city
not
I drive to in California. Every single city has
people
giant
wanting to
homeless
deny
camps.
it. It's just true. Just accept that it's true. It's okay.
Every city that I go to in California, and I live here, has huge homeless encampments in it right now.
Yeah,
I hate to break it to you, but that's
10 fucking
that's
people,
literally
people.
That's literally everywhere. And you know what? All the coastal states have higher poverty rates because it's more expensive to live there. Every single coastal state.
Well, actually, California right now, it's mostly the sanctuary state.
Can you post something that backs that up?
And the fires too,
dude. Look at the cost of living.
Post something that supports that statement.
We're just bullshit. Nobody's gonna be like firing.
Look at all you have to do. It's a matter of fact that if there is a place that is on the coast, the cost of living is higher.
All right, I'll do your research for you.
Go for it, because I've already done the research. And you know where the most poverty, where the most government assistance is taken from? It's not California. It's the fucking Bible Belt. That's a matter of fact. They have the most government assistance. We're not talking about homeless. We're not talking about this. I mean, because there are people that have jobs that are homeless. It just depends on where you go. But the most government assistance that is handed out every year is in the Bible Belt. It's not to say there isn't plenty in other places, but that is the lion's share.
I don't know about that.
I definitely know about that because I just got done. I think it was either Forbes or an Economist.
I'm just Googling this to see if
I'm playing a video game.
Percentage
like that's honestly like that sounds more like it'd be the Midwest to me, just because of all the rural subsidies and shit.
Oh yeah,
no.
I'm not saying it's
because
impossible.
we spend a retarded amount of money on that.
By state, the Bible Belt, like Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama.
Okay, listen. So I found the poverty rates, but this doesn't explain how much they're collecting in welfare. But it's Tennessee, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Alabama, Kentucky, Arkansas, West Virginia, Louisiana, New Mexico, and Mississippi.
That's basically mostly the Bible Belt.
But you said all coastal states, man, and like that's not.
Well, what is poverty? Below the poverty rate? Are you talking about homelessness? Like, I'm talking like look at the cost of living on any coastal state.
It's not always higher. Colorado's the second most expensive state.
That's not a coastal state.
Now.
That is not a coastal state.
That's what I'm telling you. You're making an inaccurate statement.
The cost of living, on average, is higher in a coastal state. Think up the East Coast and down the West Coast. The cost of living.
I'm looking at it right now at a map.
I live on the West Coast and the East Coast, and I live no, but I live in. I think it's in the top 3 most wealthiest counties in the country, and I can tell you right now that there is nothing anywhere up New England down to fucking Florida that is anywhere.
I'm trying to explain to you right now that I'm looking at a map, and it is and for the most part, almost all of the East Coast states, minus Maryland, Rhode Island, New York, Connecticut, and Massachusetts, are all in the greater than or less than 120,000 cost index.
Which is...
Well, compared to like California, that is like... What? At
Silicon Valley, Malibu.
180, and then you have... what is it? Oregon at like 140, and then you have Washington at 120, 140.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is if you look at the cost of living on the coastal states, it is more expensive than the not coastal states.
No, what I'm trying to explain to you is that a lot of the states on the East Coast almost mimic a lot of the Midwest. Here, I'll post it.
I mean, if you're talking about like New York and California, 100% true.
Like,
New York, California, a good portion of Virginia, like the DC area for sure.
It's New York, Oregon, Maryland, Rhode Island, New York, Connecticut, and Massachusetts. The rest of them are all pretty much the same. So that gives you Florida, Georgia, South North Carolina, Virginia, Louisiana, Texas.
Well, and that's and the Bible Belt area is where there's.
Oh, I looked up a map on the Bible Belt. Which states rely most on federal aid, and like the Bible Belt is just barely winning, but Arizona, New Mexico, and Montana are putting in a pretty good showing.
Oh yeah. Now, are you talking about what the state itself receives, or are you talking about government?
This is just federal aid, just as a general state amount that the state receives. And like the Bible Belt looks like it gets the most federal aid just in general, and then Montana, New Mexico, and Arizona are coming in and like kind of starting to make a new one.
That's got to be factoring in for sure. Like somebody that needs, I don't know what the fuck, like whatever government assistance, Section 8, whatever the fuck's happening. That would make sense.
But the Bible Belt is getting a lot more federal aid than most other areas.
Now, is that map based per capita or?
Let's see. Figures are
Probably
calculated by
dollar
dividing each state's
Federal
federal
aid as a percentage of state general revenue.
Yeah.
So this is based off of how much money they produce versus how much money they consume.
But it does look like they're consuming the most.
Right.
So that's a fair point to say, like that they're taking the most federal aid in.
Percentage wise, it's based off of how much they're giving in versus how much they're getting back.
Yeah.
Which
Does that make sense?
Yes. But
so
it
like California could be taking more money than Mississippi, but Mississippi's percentage is higher. Does that make sense? Like its income to debt ratio is different.
Okay, but this still is more of a realistic figure because it factors in how much they're paying to that. So I'm saying, like, he was right.
Sure. But it's also inaccurate because it doesn't tell you how much money fiscally they are consuming. It tells you percentage based off of like what they're paying versus what they're giving. Does that make sense?
There is. I'll have to try to find it unless one of you can find it because I'm in the middle of a game. There is. If you look at, let's see, what did I search for? It was, most government assistance by state, I think, is what I searched for, and I had to dig because it automatically wanted to start talking about things that were still somewhat related but not quite. But poorest states in the country, 100% at the top of the rung, is the Bible Belt.
Okay, but like here, if we look at it, numerically, California received $18 billion in federal funds in 2014.
Yeah, but they also basically make up our GDP.
So let's see how much Mississippi received in federal funds in 2015.
Well, and also, what are the federal ones for? I'm talking about people needing assistance from the government because they're poor.
Okay, but his map isn't.
I mean, that there's a big difference between like if the government is subsidizing something versus people getting it because they're poor.
There we go. So I was just pointing out that makes what you're saying possible, I guess, because the federal funding is going there. So whether that's for like farm subsidies versus like welfare, I think it'd be really hard. I didn't see anything specifically for like individual things like welfare, WIC,
and if we're right now basically everybody with a farm is fucking barely surviving on subsidies. Like only a very small top percentage are getting like anything substantial.
Yeah,
most are getting like 10 to
industrialized, right? So like the only people making money.
Well, the tariffs are murdering it too right now.
So I'm sure to some extent.
Yeah, no, the tariffs right now are a lot of these farms are basically hanging on by their ass. Like some of them are getting as few as like $10,000 to $20,000 a year. Which I mean, farming. I don't give a fuck what kind of farm you're running. Like that's not going to cover the cost of.
Yeah. Well, they're having to shift over to products that sell in the U.S., I would assume.
Okay, so the amount of federal aid that California received in 2015 was $80 billion due to the expansion of Medi-Cal.
Yay, because we give it to illegal aliens. Like, the federal government doesn't pay for welfare for illegal aliens, but California does.
I don't even know if that's necessarily true.
That's 100% true. It is also in New Mexico and Arizona.
Mississippi, who is the number one, as you said, federal aid receiver, got $7.2 billion the same year that California got $80+ billion. So, percentage-wise, you are correct, but numerically, you are incorrect on how much money they receive versus how much money they give.
Well, of course, percentage is what matters because that's like saying, "Oh, we only spent $1 billion on healthcare this year." It's like, yeah, it's $1 billion.
No, because if they're getting $80 billion and they're not getting results and they're not doing something right, that's what I'm trying to get at.
But what matters, it also matters how much they're paying to the government as well. So if they're getting $80 billion, but they're paying $100 billion. the government's still coming out $20 billion ahead. Whereas if Mississippi
they're
is
not
getting
net
8
negative.
and they're only paying 6, then the government's going out $2 billion.
Well, and California is absolutely not going negative because they
I
make.
have no idea about that part. I'm just
they literally make up. I think they went from 5th to 4th largest GDP on the planet. They themselves outranked.
Oh no! Did I get disconnected? Because I heard outranked and then nothing else.
Oh no! It might have just got cut off. They were just behind France. They are now a larger GDP as of, I think it was 2017 or 2018.
Well, yeah, France fucking sucks.
But
Samaj
France
is muted and blocked us entirely. He can't hear us. He can't talk to us. He's like, I'm gonna be there, but fuck y'all.
France is actually France. I would 150% move to France tomorrow. The work ethic is way better. Oh, dude, I totally would. The work situation there is better.
I'll fucking wait till their whole revolution, not revolution bullshit is done. I'm gonna pass on that until then.
I'm not worried about that.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you can avoid for the most part because it seems to be, in the major cities. But I'd still rather wait till they figure that shit out. Like, once you guys decide if you're having a revolution or not, then it'd be a great place to go.
It's not gonna go revolution status.
No, I know, because they're fucking pussies.
Well, also
y'all invented the guillotine. Get that shit back out.
Also, they kind of don't really have. It's not nearly dire enough. It's people with some qualms with some certain things.
Throwing firebombs and shit, yeah. Some qualms with some things. Like people getting their eye sockets blown out by the fucking cops and fucking beating each other half to death all over the place. Yeah, there's a little bit of unrest. They're unhappy.
It is basically a little unrest. I mean, we'll know if what it took for them to revolt last time was pretty fucking outrageous.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as a whole over there, the amount of hours that they work in a week is much better. They're, if you have kids and stuff like that, it's way better. The only place you can go
anywhere in the world and get worse work hours in the U.S. is like Asia.
Mm-hmm.
Like fucking, there's some places where you start off like when you first start a job, you're just assumed to have like fucking, what is it, like 6 weeks of vacation or something?
So, if you let's say you're having let's say you're having a baby, right? Right?
That's
Fingers
a terrifying
crossed.
Fucking concept. Because I'm a dude. What am I squeezing out?
There just needs to be no more of that piece of shit.
Okay. Let's just say my girlfriend and I are having a baby, or we're married, whatever. We live over there. When the baby's born over there, she gets 3 years of maternity leave. I get a year to basically raise to do our thing, raise the kid, get set up, established, stuff like that. And then once you go back to work, the cost of, I don't know if you know a lot about the cost of childcare out here, but it is fucking gross.
Oh yeah, no, I know how much it costs to raise a kid in the U.S. Yeah, it's pretty fucking expensive.
Dude, like in Arizona, which is by far
half of that has got to be people being fucking retarded.
No,
your kid doesn't need an iPad.
Oh no, dude, I'm talking about basic care. So like, let's say we have a baby, right? And I need daycare so we can go to work. Like cost of daycare,
daycare can get up
is
there.
is like on the low end in Arizona is like $750 to $800 a month, and it goes up to about $1,450 a month. Like on the East Coast here in Maryland, the same place that costs like $1,200 over in Arizona is like $2,500.
All right, this gives me an idea. We need to start a Walmart-like company, right? And here's what we're going to do. We're going to include daycare at a much more reasonable rate, as long as they guarantee their kids up until 10. And then we're going to use their kids to make the products to sell cheaper. The fucking people. It's going to be great.
So you want to charge people to be in a sweatshop?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Is that what you're telling me? You want to charge people to be in a fucking sweatshop?
Valuable life skills because they're learning, employment skills.
We're not charging it. We're not charging them to be in the sweatshop. We're going to teach their kids valuable life skills.
Yes, exactly. Like Samar says,
the daycare and the education system. We teach them stuff they don't learn in school or in daycare.
I mean, where else could a 6-year-old learn employment opportunities like that?
But yeah, it's like there's a lot of things that like we don't have to necessarily do exactly like somewhere else, but we need systems similar to it.
Well,
like,
a big part of the problem is, realistically, the amount of work that needs to be done to sustain society is substantially lower than it used to be.
Yeah, and yet,
so,
and yet the amount of work and cost of everything is continually going up.
Yeah, with automation, and obviously, I'm not saying Joe Blow, who works at a fucking McDonald's drive-through window, should be driving a Ferrari. I'm not.
Well, no, but they should at least be able to fucking afford an apartment.
Maybe a 32-hour work week would make a little more sense.
I think it was Microsoft or Intel. I forget where they tried it.
Oh, dude, all these companies are so fucking stupid. Like, seriously, I don't understand why they're keeping people on hourly rates. Like, people are so dumb. If they were to sit them down and be like, I'll pay you $22,000 a year to be salaried, and then just told them they had to work a minimum of 55 hours a week, they could fucking take advantage of them so fucking hardcore. Oh my god, man.
I mean, salary doesn't work that way most of the time.
Yeah, it does.
No, because if you work consistently more than full time, they have to pay you more at the end of the year.
They don't.
Well, there's salary exempt, and then there's different exemption.
Yeah, like trust me, dude,
statuses.
I've been salaried and hourly at many different jobs, and I know how you get screwed sometimes. It happens.
I don't think Natalie has worked 40 hours. Like,
who's Natalie?
Consistently over. That's my fiance.
Oh, okay.
She's worked a minimum, like her best week is probably around like 45, 48 hours.
Yeah.
Her worst week is like open to close at the school she's at, which is basically like it opens at 7 and it closes at 6:30. Like pull in like 4 or 5 days of that. And there's zero overtime if you're salary.
Mm-hmm. And she works at a school for like retarded kids,
okay.
right?
Guys, I'm a chef. I during the summer, I will put in 7 days straight, 70, 80, 90 hours in a week. Like, I will literally live at work, and I do not get paid overtime for any of it.
Yeah, no, I've worked places. I worked at an educational software training company, and during crunch time, I was working in between 65 and 80 hours for like 6 months, and I didn't see a fucking penny extra.
My company literally has a fucking Catalina wine mixer once a year, and I seriously put in like close to 80, 90 hours that whole week.
I think salary is fucking gross. If like salary should only count. First of all, I think full time should be 32 fucking.
That's ridiculous. That's way too short of a week.
Dude, that's what a lot of the world does.
We're not all the world, man. That's why we're more productive.
We're not more productive. We just work harder. So we don't as a country per person, and the average person, they are not more productive. They just put in more work.
You're all getting so soft. You're so soft.
Yeah, well, maybe being soft is cool because this isn't the fucking Great Depression Dust Bowl era. The whole point of innovation is to make life easier, not harder.
Baby.
Who the fuck is this kid?
I don't know. Futter recommended him.
I mean,
that makes sense. Never mind. I can just
I'll tell you one major thing that's fucked in America is that people tout struggle and the amount of hours that they work as some sort of fucking badge of honor when really they're just getting bent over the table.
I don't tout it as a badge of honor. I'm just explaining what I do.
You just fucking did.
No, not at all.
You literally just spent the last 2 minutes doing that exact same fucking thing.
I was explaining how I don't get paid for my overtime based on my salary.
And you're getting molested for.
But the struggle is real. I don't do that.
Like, this is the thing. This is the thing. Like, this whole, like, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Oh, I worked real hard and I got real far. That's all. Because 99% of people work real hard. And they don't get.
I disagree. I've seen a lot of really lazy people in my industry.
Lazy compared to what? Your 80, 90 hours? No, maybe they were
No, lazy compared to like can't get as much work done in like an hour like I can. Don't perform. Don't stay up on their tasks. Don't stay busy when it's downtime.
And what do you get for that?
What
You
do you
get
mean?
the extra hours. They're like, he's more productive, so we'll work his ass more hours because we can.
No, I fire people that don't work hard in my kitchen.
But here's the thing, like, you don't get, like.
No,
there's
I'm
a
telling
certain,
you that the generation
saying in
coming up
general.
does not want to work hard. They don't want to work hard. I've seen it firsthand.
But there's a
I deal with it daily. I literally deal with
the
it.
premise of working hard is not. There's a difference between lazy and not grinding yourself to the bone. And the expectation has become that if you are not, like, it's just expected that if your salary, you're going to work overtime. It's expected, and that's bullshit.
I think there's two factors in this. I think our education and home life don't really emphasize the importance of hard work and actually being rewarded for your efforts. And I think the other thing is that there's just little to no incentive to work hard.
Well, no, and there isn't.
Because a lot of people out there, the incentive to work harder and to create a better life is because your current life isn't in a position, or at least you have necessity, you need to actually have a better quality of life. One example being is that when people are in their 20s and so they're not having kids. Like, I'm 35 and I don't have any kids, but I mean,
I can fix that for you.
I'm sure you can.
I'll put a baby in the mush.
Well, once America becomes part of, or once Alberta becomes part of America, I'm sure I'll
but here's the thing: when we say a better, it used to mean, like, it depends on what decade you're looking at. Like, in some decades, it was like you had children working coal mines because everyone was starving, and then it's like, okay, well, we all agree that generally.
Well, that's different. That's necessity.
You keep cutting out. Sheepbot, you keep cutting out.
Yeah.
Oh, my computer was probably loading something.
Well, if you're playing a game, that can be it.
Well, yeah, I'm out of the game at the moment. So I mean, the whole premise is like, yeah, sometimes based on.
I'm not against child labor.
But you should be, because.
Why should I be?
Well, okay, why should you not be? Because I think you have the higher hill to climb on this one.
Because I'm not saying children should be forced to work. I'm just saying they should have the option. Like, if an employer chooses to hire a child, that is between the child, that individual and the employer. Like,
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Who am I to intervene in business?
I'm not against pedophilia. I'm just saying that if the child chooses to get dicked in the ass by an 80-year-old man, that should be his fucking choice.
You know what I'm saying? Well, I was literally going to go there, maybe not that graphically.
Comparing rape and molestation to a child
no.
to go get a job,
it's a child's choice.
You're
it's
right.
The child's choice. That 8-year-old wants that old
man. He makes a fair point.
No, you're literally pathetic. Like,
comparing child labor to child molestation is two different things. Children are much more likely to survive the child rape.
Well, and here's how they're not different. Is number one, children can easily be exploited. It doesn't matter if it's a sweatshop or it's working a job and not being treated fairly.
So this is the problem. You already think that you're jaded. You think that everyone is evil already. That's the problem.
No, I think that when it comes down,
you think everyone's
not everyone is evil.
That is what you think.
Individuals can be great, but people are fucking horrible.
That's true. That's 100% true.
Individuals can be smart, but people are dumb as fuck.
If you
look individuals can be beautiful, but
you sound like an idiot
are
talking
ugly
like
as
that.
shit.
I'm just saying.
Well, no, it's very true. Like, people are fucking awful, but you'll find decent people, individuals within the group of people that are perfectly great. If that was not true, we would not have any of the fucking problems we have.
All right.
Because here's the thing:
distracted by chat, my bad.
Large scale problems only exist because there are large scales of people with the ability to do them. Otherwise, they'd be outliers. And
well,
if they were
there are studies from anthropologists of like ancient societies, and they generally say once a group like they even like say up to now like once you hit about a circle of 100 people, you generally tend to like cloister off outside of that. It becomes too much for an individual to handle, and like with ancient societies, around 100 people is when tribes started splitting and going and making separate camps or settlements and stuff.
ancient societies were like the size of small towns or large or like medium-sized cities. We're talking about hundreds of millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
Or we can scale it to billions of people, in which case, yeah,
it's even more fucked up.
And here's the funny part: is right now, as shitty as it is still exponentially safer and overall better than it used to be.
I think Date's right. That's a fair point. You guys are misquoting Tommy.
I saw it. Shut up. I knew someone was gonna say something, but fuck it.
Oh, dude.
No, but it is just a fact. I mean, a person is smart, but people are stupid.
I honestly, when it comes down to the child labor thing, I just look at like consent. If a child can't consent to something, then they can't consent to stuff. It doesn't matter if it's sex or a job or anything of that nature at all.
I think
well, of course. And like, what do you want your child to do? Do you want how to fucking read and like be a well?
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying is like I'm not personally going to let my child do that, but I'm not in that financial situation or that family situation. Like, for a family that's on the street, what are you going to do? Just take their kid from them and put it in foster care?
I have a better idea.
Like,
we could make the multi-billion-dollar companies pay their fucking people. That'd be a good start.
Fucking Tommy. I love you, Lyman, but you're a fucking Tommy.
Oh, that's not common.
Make them.
Yes, you make them. If you're going to, if there's an entity, are you?
Make them. You keep saying that as if it's an actual point.
It's
not.
Literally just.
It's
it literally
not a
means
point.
that this conversation is like over because you believe in forcing people to do other things. You do not support.
Oh God! Tell me that
you do not support.
Oh my God!
You
don't even listen. You don't even know what freedom is because you have an illusion. Yeah, you have an illusion.
Okay,
freedom because
tell me what I know. Tell me what I know.
I will.
Tell me what I know.
I will explain it right now. Go to the car lot where there's the Lamborghini, the Ferrari, the Pinto, and the Civic. You have the freedom to choose whatever you want, but which one are you going to walk away with? The one you can afford. It's an illusion of choice. You are operating under an illusion of choice because you'd rather have a company as long as it's not the government, dude. Libertarianism.
Here's where you're wrong. Here's where you're wrong,
Here's where I'm right. Let me finish my thought. Shut your mouth and listen.
Wrong.
Yes. Okay, well, you don't even know what I'm going to say, so I'm glad you also have psychic abilities as well.
But your argument's already invalid.
No, my argument is this. Everything that you do during the day is a byproduct of what happens around you. You have the illusion of choice, but the ultimate fact is you have a limited amount of choice.
Okay, that's where you're wrong.
Really?
Yes.
Do tell.
Because where I agree with you to the limited amount of choice to an extent, that is because that person has the choice to deny me to sell them a car that they purchased and they put on their lot. That is their freedom of choice to pick out who they want to do things. So, like, you didn't
understand the analogy, dude.
No, you're accentuating my freedom.
Okay, let me try it again. I will use
freedom to someone else.
I will use it. You listen.
Like, you don't.
When you live in a society,
you literally just don't understand freedom. It's okay.
We live in a society.
But listen, it's like me saying, "Hey, dude, here's the all-you-can-eat buffet. Every single one of these are poisoned except for this one. Which one are you gonna eat?"
None of them.
You can choose.
What if I don't want one?
Oh, then you're gonna starve.
Well, who says I'm gonna starve?
I just did. That's your choice. You have to eat or you're gonna starve. And all of these are poisoned except for one.
I mean, is there other people waiting? Like, what if there's more constituency?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. See, like, you gave me a second fallacy.
Shut your mouth and listen.
Listen. Fallacy after
your
you
mom's a
gave me an
fallacy.
option.
Now just shut your mouth and listen.
No, but this is the problem.
Use your ears. Ears.
Oh no.
Ears.
My penis can only get so erect.
So wait a minute.
He's so triggered.
Hold on.
Oh my god.
Dude, trust me, there's literally nothing you could say that would trigger me because you have no idea what you're talking about.
It already sounds like I did.
Dude, don't flatter yourself on me. You're a child.
LOL.
See, here's the thing. You just asked me, are there other people waiting? Why does that matter? Because now you're incorporating a society into your decision.
Because you gave me a second fallacy after the first
No. Hold on. It's you.
You gave me a second fallacy after
Do you even know what a
option.
fallacy is? Do you even know what
Why don't you ask him what the fallacy was? That we can tell him why he's wrong.
Because here's what he's doing. He's using buzzwords that sound pseudo-intellectual so he can sound smart, but he's not making a point.
Well, okay. Well, then let him make his point.
Okay, go ahead. Make your point. Which fallacy exactly is that?
Why is it a fallacy?
Exactly.
Hello?
My favorite part is when people like to use words because they think it's somehow this like, oh, I gotcha, but they don't actually say anything. They've heard these words on the fucking internet and listened to one too many Jordan B. Peterson fucking videos and think they're
never
intellectual.
seen a Jordan B. Peterson video in my entire life, buddy.
Well, here's the thing. What fallacy exactly is there?
You gave me a second option, or you gave me a second answer after I already told you I didn't want an apple.
Because you asked a question.
And I said, I don't want one. When you asked me a question, I said, I do not
want one. Well, then you
don't
have to eat. But here's the thing.
Then you said, but you'll starve. But you said, then you'll starve.
Well, yeah, because you're a fucking human.
You didn't have that in the repetition for this. It was, here's apples at a buffet.
Oh,
he didn't explain that I would starve or something.
He needed an analogy broken down like a fucking IKEA instruction set. The point is that at any given time, whether you're interacting with a computer or going somewhere or a person or anything inside of a society, you are always met with the if-then condition of you interacting with something that is outside of your control. You only have 100%, 100%.
To a degree.
100%. Tell me the exception. Where's the exception?
You have free will still, bud. Like
in your mind, but not in actuality.
Bro, come on, don't be fucking stupid.
No, please do tell inside of a society.
Really is that why free will versus determination now?
Okay, free will doesn't actually exist. Your brain makes choices before you actually conceptualize that you fucking made a choice. You don't have free will. The chemical reactions in your brain choose things for you. Everything is deterministic. Nothing matters. God isn't real.
Hence, the thing is you can think whatever you want, but there is a reality outside of your thought.
Sure.
And that you have to choose from. And so automatically...
Here's the problem. Based on your logic, there's a reality outside of your thought, which makes your reality fallible.
No, it makes it to where you can think whatever you want. Listen, you can think whatever you want at any time. But no matter what you're doing, there is always a set of conditions that are not in your control.
You guys are basically arguing one of the most basic questions of reality.
Yeah,
free will doesn't exist.
Free will is existing, or free will doesn't exist. So it's kind of like it's never really going to get resolved.
Well, here's the thing: even if you are on an island, 100% by yourself with no other human beings, you are still met with the conditions around you of your environment. There is not anything you are 100% free from.
Bro, you have the will to either build shelter on your island or die of starvation and letting the fucking wind come in and kill you, or a sea storm or something,
But here's the thing.
Or you could dance, or you could sing a song, or you could decide to draw pictures in the sand.
I can leave my friends behind.
Yeah.
But
don't dance.
I'm just saying,
friends of mine.
But he's talking about. You have to draw a finer line between compulsion and requirement.
Well,
yes.
And you
might have a compulsion, like you might have an urge to eat, because you don't want to starve to death. So that's a compulsion to do things, but that's not necessarily a required action.
And here's the thing. No,
initially people definitely starve to death, and people definitely get depression and stay in bed for days when they don't want to and stuff.
My initial metaphor was what the illusion of choice is. You walk out every day feeling like you're free to do this, you're free to do that, but ultimately, there are limits, no matter what.
Yeah, to be fair, that's a good point, too, because there are laws that are put in place by people that are outside of your control. So, realistically, you don't have the option to do whatever you want.
This is what I'm getting at, is that those people had the free will to do that. Everyone at one point in a time has free will to make a decision or change something or do something. You may be constrained by the free will of others that they have now imposed upon you by making legislation and stuff like that.
But that's what a society
eventually
is.
Free will.
But that's
Like,
what
I
society
think once
is.
you join society, you give up a certain amount of free will, just as a given.
Like, and that's the point. Is like there are when things operate in a
Then-
society, no
But
matter who or what.
You totally have the option to move to the middle of nowhere in Montana and live off the fucking
But
land.
you still have to buy that land there. You can't just fucking move somewhere.
You want to bet?
Yeah, I do.
Oh my god. As long as this doesn't end up with you guys trying to have a fight in some fucking auditorium somewhere, I'm good. As long as this doesn't end up there.
I mean, I'm willing to sell tickets and donate the money to any charity, so we can sanction it. We can sanction it at my boxing ring. You know,
Oh my god.
Hold on. I do want to ask one question because I love this question, especially after you brought it up. But what's the difference between occupation and ownership?
Oh, you fucking bastard, Satan, I fucking hate you. I want you to know, I fucking hate you.
Legal
So, like,
right.
you said
legal
you didn't
right
have, you didn't
versus
have to
being
buy the land in Montana, right? Like, you could just go there, right? So, if somebody else decides that, well, that's their land now, what's the difference between occupation and ownership?
Are you saying in the
like now, like
in
right
the
now,
context, in the context of what you're saying, or
Bob
In the
has gone to
context
Montana.
of-
Bob has decided he owns this land, or he's just going to live on this piece of land.
sure, and then
And now
someone
David
shows
says, you know what?
off.
I'm going to live on that piece of land.
and he could come up there and they could fight for it.
but what would really
So
happen
there
is they
is
call
no
the
difference between
police and they
ownership
have you.
and occupation.
Sure, I'm not saying it wouldn't happen. I'm just saying it could happen. Like, you can definitely disappear in the middle of nowhere in the mountains, man. There's tons of places that no one's gonna find you. You just keep backpacking. Why do you think there's so many homeless doing it right now? Obviously, you
Well-
don't have to be constrained.
So there isn't a difference between occupation and ownership.
No, it would depend.
Then slavery does not violate the NAP. Your entire fucking philosophy is no. God damn it!
I'm okay with slavery too.
Somehow I'm not surprised.
I'm just saying, take all the rapists and child molesters, castrate them all, and turn them into slaves.
No,
I'm okay
because
with that.
why should you take away their freedom?
Oh, because they gave it up when they did something horrific.
But who said the law? Or I mean,
Wait, no. It can't be laws because laws are bad.
because they impose they impose somebody else's will over their freedom, right?
They
So
do.
that's not okay.
Yeah, but in context, I think
So
we can
it-
all agree that that's okay.
Oh, so you mean a society?
We live in a society.
I agree with that.
But here's the thing. So really, what you're saying?
You're mistaking
Hold on,
my devil's
I will-
advocate for my opinions, and that's the
No,
difference.
no. I know. I'm not saying it's your direct opinion. What I'm saying is, so what you?
I'm
so
just
what,
making fun of you. That's
let
all
me,
I'm doing.
Let me try to sum it up into right. You don't like the idea of anything being imposed unless it means something to you, because fuck everybody else.
No, I disagree. I'm saying I'm okay with it. I'm not saying it should happen. I'm just saying I'm okay if it does happen.
So when a large corporation totally exploits their workers and people are literally on the street or barely off of the street because of that, it's bad to make them pay instead of
No.
exploiting them.
Oh no, I'm saying they totally have the right to seek legal counsel, legal action, and take it upon the company that wronged them.
So let me ask you something. So if you're poor, where do you get legal counsel from?
Well, generally that becomes a class action lawsuit if something bad like that happens. And
That's
most
not
lawyers,
true, though.
And most lawyers pick up cases when things happen because they
But-
know it's going to be a payout. If there's not going to be a payout, they
Class
won't take
action
the case.
lawsuits are almost universally in products that failed.
Yeah, class action lawsuits are basically like three things. Either lots of people have been harmed, like water supplies poisoned by
Yeah.
DuPont or something, or somebody made a car or a device that has maimed and killed a bunch of people. Like,
And
There
they
are never
were
class action
provably
lawsuits.
aware
So-
of the risk.
Explain
Right.
a company that goes under that should pay its employees and how.
they don't go under.
Sometimes they do.
When? Give me
Well,
one
obviously,
example.
If a company goes out of
Okay,
business,
I
they
can-
don't
I
have
can
to
give you-
continue
I
to
can
pay
give you
their
one.
employees.
Hold on. Let me
It
be
ceased to be a
specific.
company.
Let me
So
be specific.
I lived in
Tell
Pittsburgh,
me-
I lived in Pittsburgh,
Okay.
Pennsylvania for a while, and a huge trucking company went out of business there and put like a couple 100,000 people out of work or something, give or take 100,000.
Sure.
And it definitely hit them economically. And
Of course.
they actually went together. They sued this company, and The company tried to get a bailout, couldn't get it, and then they ended up suing the company, and they all ended up getting paid out like X amount difference. It obviously wasn't a great settlement, but that's what they got out of it, you know?
Sure. And,
Like,
and at that point,
sued the company because it went out of business.
But here's the thing: at that point, if a company can't can't pay its employees, or it has to go under, then it just goes under, because then that's just how it is.
Because it had liquidated assets, and the owners made money off the government grants it got.
Well, then the company just goes away.
No, they exploited the government for money, and the owners walked away. So the employees gathered together and sued the owners for their fair share.
But see, the thing is that they didn't really exploit them because they did it legally. So the problem is, like, that's kind of what we're getting at is large companies need to be reined the fuck in.
We need to. There's not as much consistency in removing the exploits from the system as there used to be in place.
I can agree with that.
And that's I think one of the big issues that a lot of people are seeing. And
so do you think we should let GM go under or no?
Directions. Say what?
Let who?
Should we have let GM go under or no?
We must secure the existence of our people.
Should we have let GM go under? Absolutely.
I
think we
agree with
let
that.
GM go under for sure. That's capitalistic.
Absolutely should have gone under.
But see, that's the thing, is that has nothing to do with capital. In fact,
it does. The dollar is your vote.
Well, no, to a degree, but when you're talking about we should have let the banks go, we should have let the banks go under more.
I agree.
Because here's the thing, is like, but at some point we had to do something, because when the structures that basically are the glue to your society. You know
why the banks didn't go under though, bro?
Yeah, because they're the fucking banks.
Because
actually some of them did.
No. Some of them did. It's because if they're FDIC backed, that means the government has to pay out anyone's assets sitting in there,
correct.
And the government doesn't have the money to pay the people in these banks, like shit, like
Well, it's limited amount of money, but the FDIC insurance is a good thing because a lot of people lost their ass pre-FDIC during the Great Depression.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, I mean, yeah, there's going to be the whole situation with the banks, with all the economic crash and everything, ultimately boiled down to predatory lending, and I mean, ultimately, especially with the housing market. But see, that's kind of the thing, is we didn't regulate.
Well, the biggest problem was that the student loans and housing market, and the way it got so, what's the word I'm looking for? Inflated, was that the government
student loans were less than 20% of that. Like it was vast majority of it was literally just the shitty mortgages.
Well, because I literally knew handfuls of people that had one house that they could afford, and they would get a loan on that house, so they'd get a second house and rent that out, and then on that house they'd get a loan and get another house and rent that out, and it's like the second that collapsed, everybody there. I mean, Phoenix had literally entire parking lots that had chain link around them with people living in their cars because the banks had repoed all their houses. It was. I mean, and that's the thing.
A lot of that happened because a lot of people were getting these student loans and putting their mortgages up against the student loans.
You can't put. You don't need a student loan for a collateral. You don't need collateral for it. No, you don't. You don't need collateral at all for a student loan. If you take out a private loan in a private bank, they'll require collateral sometimes for a student loan. But for federal ones, you need absolutely nothing. You don't even need income. Which also kind of brings it on back.
Kill your student loan.
Oh yeah, and the other part of it is that also brings to the way our education system is. Like, it needs some love as far as that goes, because it's consistently got more expensive.
Well, everything keeps getting more expensive because the government keeps giving grants. Every time they give out housing, every time they give up housing grants, the housing market raises their prices. Like, oh well, now the government's just giving you an extra $20,000 for free, or like, the second they started giving out all this free money to kids to go to college, they just raise the cost of school.
But you understand that it's not because the government was giving money; it's because these entities
the institutions took advantage of the free government money being handed out, and they were like,
correct.
We'll just add that to our tab already.
Correct. And so the problem wasn't the government handing out money so people can go to school and live to go to school.
I disagree. I think it is a problem with the government.
But that isn't
because
the
they were
problem.
giving reckless loans. They were giving reckless loans, and they
have
been for a long time.
But it's not. But you're missing the point. If I give Stoney $100,000 to go back to become to whatever the fuck he wants to be, and a school raises their rates because they can, because they make more money.
Sure, so stop going to that school. Your dollar is
But
your
that's
vote.
all of them. But that's all of them. And furthermore, that's
Who's
all
snoring?
that's all the companies that print the books. That's all the companies.
Are you snoring?
And the problem is,
No.
the problem is not the government handing out money to do this. The problem is that these entities that are receiving the money are for profit. Therefore, their goal is to make money. More money, as much money as possible, so they just raise their rates.
I'm okay with that. They're allowed to do that, and people stupidly still choose to go to these $300,000 a year schools for liberal arts degrees. That's their fault.
That's an imaginary thing in your mind, because I don't think you understand how much school is and where people go to get liberal art degrees. First of all, that's like a total talking point that you heard on some fucking talk show or read in an article. Because
I could be talking about like Boulder University.
Dude, most places, you know what the average cost of a fucking 4-year degree is right now? It's about like
40 to $80,000.
Well, yeah, that's a hell of a span. It used to be about 10. When our parents went to fucking school, it was like a couple $1,000s a year. And you can't tell me with the digitization of materials and everything else that somehow it's continued to be more expensive. And I mean, what they're teaching hasn't fucking changed. Like, if you're becoming a history teacher, you're becoming a fucking chemist.
Unless it's math, in which case they fucked up math. They ruined math.
The cost per semester at UC Boulder for in-state is $30,000, and the cost per semester out-of-state is $54,000.
Yeah, that's like ASU.
So what? Put that into 5 years. So that's 9 to 10 semesters.
That is also accounting for if you live on campus. Because when you look up the cost of universities to attend,
expenses along with the tuition.
Yeah,
it includes room and board, books and supplies, and other expenses.
Well,
that are school related.
And so, if it follows suit with ASU, they basically have a chart that says, like, if you live at home or you have no rent and minimal bills or no bills, you should take out about just under $20,000 for the year. If you have to live on campus or have rent that is around the campus, obviously it's more or less if you live off campus and all that other bullshit, that you need to take out about $29,000 and change. And these are cheap universities, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sure Stanford is substantially more expensive.
Well, Ivy League is totally different. We're talking about public colleges, which these are not like Ivy League private colleges. These are state colleges. And so, if you start talking about like Stanford and Harvard and all these like Ivy League places, it's exponentially more expensive. But
so I did it at just the cost of tuition per year over 9 semesters would be $117,000
plus books plus lab fees. Do you know how much college books are fucking expensive?
Yep. And now that all the teachers write the books, they basically make you buy their book, and they put like codes in it like they used to in the video games we used to buy back in the day. So you have to punch it in, and like you're the only one that can use it now for your tests and everything.
Which is whatever. I don't give a fuck who writes it as long as it's a decent book. But the people that really make the money off of the books is not the schools and stuff like that. It's people like Pearson, who is the number one academic material provider in the country for K through anything. Like the cost of a teacher edition for a 6th grade book is like $600.
Can we start fighting about other things now?
I missed my cue.
Yeah, that's right. You did your cue. Wait. Has anybody seen the? I'm not sure if it was recent or not, but Steven Crowder's like anti-porn video.
No,
but I don't care about it at that point.
Oh darn!
I've seen a whole shitload of
pretty fucking funny.
Oh, is it funny?
more so on the right recently, but I've also seen a bunch of fucking random Twitter accounts and even fucking Gab, which they've gone way out the fucking deep end in the last couple of months. But porn is bad.
Yeah, it was so weird.
Because porn is bad.
It was the same arguments against all of the arguments they made for anti-censorship.
I only have one thing that I would say that's bad for, and that's like if it's given to totally inappropriately aged children, it can be bad.
Yeah, that's.
I do have to say though, I'd be less concerned if a little kid saw some porn than if they saw some like a murder on video or something like that, like an actual.
Well, yeah, I mean,
not like the TV movie violence, but like the actual like footage
snuff
of
films.
Yeah, like an actual like person dying.
Well,
wait, hold on. Me watching snuff film as a teenager shaped my entire personality. All right.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a good argument, dude.
No, I'm just saying, like, I would be less concerned about a kid seeing porn than about snuff. I'm just saying, like, I think there's degrees to which things can affect people.
Well, if you're talking about a teenager, well, I would say they
2-year-old, 3-year-old. I mean, I'm not saying they should have access to hardcore porn. I'm just saying,
no. Like, I would say it would be less. I can agree with that, and I think it would be damaging in ways.
Yeah.
No, I think. Yeah, I mean, I would
be a lot
definitely
worse
agree
than
with
porn.
that.
Is all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, no, there could be a lot.
saying.
There could be a lot of things worse, but I'm just saying, like,
they could be in a coal mine.
Fuck you, Satan.
But that's their choice.
I know what you're trying to do, you little bastard. I'm gonna come down to wherever the fuck it is in Texas, and I'm gonna hang out at your bar.
I live in Casa Grande, Texas.
I'm gonna hang out at your bar. That'll get you.
But that's their but
drive
that's
your
their choice. I mean,
down.
listen, we don't want the coal economy to collapse, so let's just get those kids in there.
Smaller mine shafts. What was the Psycho saying? Smaller mine shafts, less expensive. I just thought it was funny that all these people who are like arguing against like censoring TV and movies and all this other stuff because they're like, no, it's not gonna fucking like Looney Tunes didn't make you go hit your brother with a frying pan. You know, like that's just not really how that works. Like making the exact same arguments against porn that they were defending against when they were saying like Looney Tunes is fine.
I mean,
whether those arguments stand or not, it's just hilarious listening to them make the exact opposite.
I mean, I think it's pretty sensible to be like, yeah, like 7-year-olds should not be watching porn.
They're not talking about 7-year-olds should not be watching porn. They're saying like everybody could potentially have some terrible addiction and it could fuck your mind up and your marriage will be unhappy and you're fucking you won't have sex as much and
that sounds like a lot of religious motivation.
It's fucking nonsense, dude.
Oh no, my favorite though is the one where like at any point when anyone says that porn makes you more violent to women, and nothing can, like every single study that is ever done like an in-depth study on porn and domestic violence shows the exact fucking opposite.
No, and I would make the same point. Like it's the same argument where they're like every time there's like a shooting or something like video game, and I'm like, okay, well the only argument I can make, which is weak as fuck, like if I'm gonna steel man their argument, it's not that these things make you violent. It's the fact that somebody was fucked up to begin with and they did something bad. Or it motivated them to, but they were already kind of fucked up to begin with. Like,
well, yeah. And
how many of us went out to try to Mortal Kombat somebody? I mean, I tried to turn a lot of people into babies and do a babality, but it didn't really work.
I tried to put a lot of babies in a lot of chicks.
And that didn't work either.
Nope. Thank God. None of them worked out.
The police were called a lot, so.
Only once. Only once.
Did the police help?
No.
I mean, you know, that seems like something the police should be all for. Oh, you want to make babies? All right.
Oh my God, I saw this article today. I've seen it many other times, but like again today, they're like, not enough babies are being had to replace the U.S. population, and I'm like, well, first of all, good.
They're only worried about it because of Medicaid and Medicare and stuff, Social Security.
They're also worried. I mean, there's different motivations for it, but I mean, number one, religious people. Part of the reason why they like to have a lot of babies and they like to do a lot of this, like, oh, well, this is a sin, that is a sin, is because that basically if somebody in their congregation or in their religion has a baby, it's essentially another fucking member born into it. And so that's just population. That's just built-in population building right there. But it's like, I mean, the reason why people aren't having babies is because it's so fucking expensive. And like the younger generations are like, yeah, I don't know. Like, do I want to pay like college tuition so I can, to have my kid taken care of so I can go to work so I can literally make like 10 grand at the end of the day?
Babies are pretty fucking awful too.
They're the worst.
They fucking cry all the time. You gotta do shit for them like every day, all day.
But the worst thing about it is like even like the best case scenario is they grow up and become people, and that's people already suck. That's not a good payoff.
Man. I don't know. Have you ever changed a diaper, Satan?
Dude, I've changed so many diapers.
Diapers are fucking. Oh, that's a nightmare.
I mean, to me, the kid throwing up is way worse than a diaper.
Oh, I can't handle vomit. I puke.
Yeah, I have a very sympathetic
vomit.
Yeah, me too. Dude, yep. I've been so close a few times. Like my kid will sit there. I remember he had the flu once.
I need to find you some porn with a big girl with dead eyes and big ears. That's just throwing up everywhere.
Oh, fuck you, Satan. Fuck
I will find it.
Gotta get them big ears.
With big ears, dead eyes, and vomit. I'm on it.
He's like, gotta put a ring on.
Going to my happy place, walking at the beach, clubbing baby seals,
holding the hand of your girl, flapping in the wind.
All alone because there's no humans. Fucking humans suck. Oh, it's great.
They do. Humans do suck.
I mean, the humans that suck are my favorite, though.
Yep. They're the best.
Well, as long as they swallow.
I like all the degenerates.
That's just common courtesy. You don't want to make a mess.
I'm gonna have to go to sleep here in a few because I gotta be up in like 4 hours.
Oh yeah, we usually run for another half hour at most on this anyway.
Well, I'm on the East Coast right now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
2:30.
Yeah.
Is it 2:30 or 3:30 there right now?
2:30. Because daylight savings changed. I still haven't figured it out. All I know is I just get told when to set my ship. But luckily, my phone does it for me.
But
it would be easier if Arizona did it. I mean, I think no place should do it because it's dumb. It's not like we have to get up and generally plow our fucking field or something.
No, it made sense for a long fucking time, but it's not really necessary anymore.
As somebody who's almost spent 40 years inside a state that does not do it at all, I can say it works well.
Well, it's like they don't have it in Arizona because nothing grows in Arizona.
Untrue, sir.
Nothing grows in Arizona except for,
meth. Lots and lots of meth grows.
You don't grow meth, dumbass.
It's a joke, you idiot.
It didn't work.
You know,
fight.
Do you know what the number one, like out of the states, the United States, it is the largest supplier of watermelons. And it's
man.
Doesn't Maynard also have a vineyard there?
Yeah, it's up in oh god, what is it called? Jerome. I've been up there a few times.
You gotta find yourself a copy of the Watermelon Man song.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it's cool because it's a vineyard in the middle of the fucking desert. But yeah, it's cool.
I watched a documentary about it one time. He lost a lot of money opening.
Iron and wine.
Yeah.
I think going to that vineyard in fucking Maynard has to be on my bucket list.
I mean, Jerome's a pretty fucking crazy place because you drive up there and you start just going up like these switchbacks up this mountain, and then all of a sudden it's just like an old school town, exactly like what you would think with like horse tying posts like from back in the day and everything. That's just literally on the side of a mountain. It's like 40 feet and you're off the side of a mountain, and there's just like saloons, old style buildings that look like the old saloons that have been converted into stuff. And there's actually a ghost mining town right next to it, where that was a camp that you can go tour and take a tour of the mine. It's pretty cool. It's worth, and the view is insane. It's very nice looking.
All right, I'm gonna put this in the chat and in the Discord. I strongly recommend listening to this song at some point if you get a chance. It's actually a really good song.
Why do I feel like this is gonna be really?
The song is.
I feel like this is gonna be really Moon Man-esque.
Watermelon Man by Oscar Brown
I'm pretty
Jr.
sure I've heard this. I'm pretty sure I've
probably
heard
the song. It's actually, I'm not fucking with you. It sounds like but great song.
This sounds real Moon Man-esque. I feel like there's gonna be at some point during the song he's just gonna say, "Shut up, bitch! Now drink my pee."
No, I heard this song. I think when I needed to take an elective credit, I took history of rock and roll, and when they covered like the kind of blues and soul, like Motowny time.
Oh yeah,
I
fucking danced to this song on a couple of occasions.
Dude, the Motown era is pretty sweet.
There's some fucking there's some great music out there for sure.
Like Sam and Dave.
People are just so used to that pop fucking vanilla bullshit now.
It had to be, what, 150 pounds ago?
For what? Oh, the dancing? Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
Dude, you know the fucking stuff where you pick your partner up and shit and like swing dancing? I used to do that shit, man.
Not me.
I know that, but I always fucking forget it. Like, every time you tell it, like, it's fucking new to me every single time.
That has nothing to do with me or what I'm saying. It's everything to do with how much you drink.
I mean, that's
why life is so exciting, because everything is always new when you're drunk all the time.
So what you're saying is there's no difference.
See, he only remembers it when he's blackout drunk.
What everybody should drink more. That's it. That's all.
I mean, it depends on how much you're drinking already, I suppose, because you got to walk that line.
Some of my favorite people are high functioning alcoholics. Like, most of my favorite people are high functioning alcoholics.
Oh, speaking of alcohol, you know when you took that bartending class?
Yeah.
Did they teach you how to make a Negroni?
Yeah, I tried one. I don't like that drink, and they said it's gotten really popular over the last 5 or 10 years or so. I've been going to bars a lot the last 5 or 10 years, and I've never seen anyone ever order that drink.
It typically, like, the places that I've seen it are in Cuban restaurants, but I had one for the first time. I don't think it's like a classic Negroni, but they used what did they have in it?
I thought for sure you were gonna say a hipster bar.
No, this was like the little.
I fucking knew you wore a beret.
No, this was at a Cuban restaurant in New Haven, Connecticut that I was at a few days ago. It was pretty good. The way they made it was good. I don't have any to compare it to, but it was tasty.
I'm trying to remember exactly what's in it. I gotta look at.
It kind of reminded me.
Gin, Campari, and sweet vermouth.
And there was something else that they had in it.
Orange peel.
Well, I mean, no, this one had a Luxardo cherry in it, but there was something else. Oh no, you know what they had floating in it? A dried orange slice.
Oh, okay, yeah. But no, like a classic Negroni is gin, Campari, and sweet vermouth, and there's a couple of variations that you can do, switching out the vermouth or switching out the gin for vodka or switching out Campari with something like.
I think this had orange bitters, just a dash of orange bitters as a float on top, just like literally like 1 or 2 drops.
Yeah.
It was good the way they made it. I've never had one anywhere else to compare it to, but you know, I was there looking at their Cuban cocktails, and I was like, when in Cuba, I skipped the mojito though, which was Natalie got one and it was super good.
No, see, like I really like mojitos, but
good mojitos.
I can't have more than like one in a night. Like I couldn't make like a pitcher of mojitos and drink
How
that.
come?
Oh,
It's
totally.
too fucking sweet. Too like no, like it's
just pump the sugar down a little.
I don't like real sweet drinks except for my amaretto sours. Just because amaretto's a real sweet liquor, but
It is. It's
mixed
like
with the sour, it's just that weird, very unusual flavor, but comes out real fucking nice. I dig that.
Dude,
I used to drink that shit all the time. Amaretto sours. Fuck yeah.
Find a I don't know if there's any
like
Cuban
Daytona.
restaurants
I
down
remember
there.
all the girls used to drink Southern Comfort.
SoCo
it's a
and
pretty
lime
sweet one,
shots. Let's see. My favorite drink of all time is definitely the old fashioned.
Yeah, I figure you for like an old fashioned or a sidecar guy.
Old fashioned, and I'll do a Manhattan.
Let's see, when I still drink...
I would rather have a Rob Roy than a Manhattan.
I'm trying to think what the difference is.
Oh, I was
one has bourbon,
Coke.
one has scotch.
When I still drank, I had rum and Coke.
Yeah, that was the other main one for me, was rum and Coke.
Well,
did you put a lime in it?
Nah.
My old main ones used to be
by the right name then.
A vodka dirty martini or a whiskey and 7.
Well, that's not bad.
But yeah, the you can get. I like the old fashioned because you can get real creative with bitters you use and like all types of.
Oh.
That and like you can essentially make an entire fruit salad in a fucking old fashioned, and it's still the same fucking drink.
No, that's for sure.
You could put cherries, you could put fucking watermelon in that shit. It doesn't fucking matter what you put in it. It's still a fucking old fashioned.
We were in Virginia Beach one time, and there was this. It's literally just a bourbon bar, and so I was like, okay,
so that's a saloon.
Well, it was a hipster one. No, let me take that back. It looked like it had been there forever, but they carried some hipster bourbons, and there was
hipster adjacent.
Yeah, there you go.
You get to join.
I only carried my beret with me. I didn't wear it that day, and
I still had the twirly mustache though.
I had a bourbon. I had an old fashioned that had a peanut butter bourbon, which I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, I gotta try it just because it sounds weird. And it was actually pretty good. Like with the bitters and everything, you really didn't get much peanut butter. It just had kind of like an earthiness to it. It was pretty tasty.
Ooh. Anyone else ever try whiskey and Mountain Dew?
Done it.
So fucking.
I've put whiskey in everything.
Whiskey and Mountain Dew was pretty fucking good too. That was right up there with rum and Coke.
I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I'll do like seltzer, like a vodka seltzer, but I'll do like one of the seltzer, and then like drop like a lime wedge in it or something.
Oh, that's my dad's right there. My dad does he does tonic, so it's vodka tonic with the lime wedge.
Yeah, I dig that. When I quit drinking, I would just drink club sodas and limes all the time.
Well, there you go.
It's like it's exciting without the sugar.
I just enjoy this drink. I enjoy ordering this drink just because 90% of bartenders have no idea what the fuck you're talking about until like you explain it. And like, oh, yeah, I get it. You're a dick.
What is it?
It's a 7 and 7, like a Seagram 7 and 7 Up, but you just order a 14. And they look at you like I don't wait
because it's 7 and 7. That's fucking.
The fuck is a 14? Oh, a Seagram 7 and 7. I fucking hate you.
Well, and I've seen places that call like a Jack, like if you want Jack and 7 Up, a Black Jack 7. That's like some old ass like 40s and 50s way of ordering it on the East Coast. Yeah, I'd usually just get whiskey and 7. Just usually end up being fucking early times or some shit, and 7 Up.
I like the fucking sweet shots, like the mudslides or like the Girl Scout cookies.
Washington apple's pretty tasty.
Oh yeah, any of that.
What's a Girl Scout cookie?
You take chocolate liqueur and you float like a half or like maybe a quarter of the shot glass is peppermint schnapps and 3/4 is chocolate liqueur.
It tastes like a thin mint.
And it's like a thin mint, yeah.
So it's what, like peppermint schnapps and
floated
Godiva?
on top of chocolate. Yeah, on Godiva, exactly. But you got to float it on top so that they're separated. Otherwise,
if you wanted to make it a little bit crazier, instead of the peppermint, do like Rumpelmans.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sure there's all sorts of variations that work. Yeah, 100%.
I do have Rumpelmints, and I got Godiva.
Oh my god! Let me tell you the worst shot ever. It tastes fucking terrible, and it's Jaeger, Rumpelmans, and Goldschlager. It's called the Screaming Nazi.
3 Wise Men.
Well, I thought that was, but those aren't Wise Men.
That's Cuervo and that's fucking tequila, isn't it? The 3 Wise Men.
No, that you're talking about 3 Hicks and a Spick.
I've never heard of that. I've had the 4 Horsemen, which
Jim, Johnny, Walker, and Jose.
Jack, Johnny, and Jose.
Jim, Jack, Johnny, and Jose.
Yeah, Jim, Jack, Johnny.
But the Screaming Nazi is Jaeger, Rumpelmans, and Goldschlager, and it tastes like you're drinking Listerine and Scope while chewing cinnamon gum. It's terrible. But let me tell you all about things that will kick you in the dinger pretty quick.
I also enjoy mixing copious amounts of booze with a shit ton of cocaine and methamphetamines.
Sounds perfect.
What's the name for that?
My 20s.
Yes.
I'd like to order.
It's been named after you.
I'm trying to think what other tasty shots I've had. I mean, Soko and lime is good. It's basic, but it tastes better. Like the acid helps a lot with the sweetness. It's pretty tasty.
Soko?
Southern Comfort with lime juice in it.
Oh, with lime juice. Okay, Southern Comfort is gross on its own. I just couldn't imagine ever wanting to drink that on purpose. That's why I was confused.
With the lime juice, like they'll take like that Rose's lime juice, and
that's like drinking sugar syrup. Oh god, that sounds even worse.
Well,
if
they'll
it was
do that.
Just lime juice, I could see that maybe cutting through the sweet somehow.
That's the good one. I've ordered it at one place and I watched them just take the Rose's shit and pour it in. The best way to do it is literally just lime juice and Southern Comfort, and I do not like Southern Comfort by itself. Those are tasty.
Does it kind of operate like a lime sours?
Yeah, basically.
Oh, okay. I gotta see that.
You'd have to try it because it also
a few years ago.
Oh well,
like 10 years ago at this point now. I think fucking.
Oh,
old.
Nice. I'm trying. To think
you don't drink it all anymore, right?
No, I just smoke weed, man, and eat edibles. A lot of fucking edibles.
I used to make like spritzers out of like box wine and 7-Up, mix it, so it was just like a wine cooler.
That makes sense, yeah.
That was pretty tasty, and you could, it was something that you to drink like physically a lot of fluid, so you could like drink all night, but without getting totally fucking.
Oh yeah, because that is the key. There's that gold zone you want to hit of being like just drunk enough that it's awesome.
Yeah, you don't want to go to the bad place.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've invited me to the wedding or not, but even if you don't, I'm gonna crash. So whenever I crash the wedding, I'm also gonna bring a shit ton of booze with me.
Well, one of the things we were figuring is wherever the party is, like it's gonna have good food and plenty of alcohol. We're not gonna make it crazy formal or anything. We're just gonna have a party.
Oh my god, If Satan takes you on a bachelor party thing, that would be the absolute fucking. That is gonna be an 80s movie. 100%. That is gonna be an 80s movie.
Somewhere in between Fear and Loathing and like
weird. Yeah, somewhere between Fear and Loathing and The Hangover.
Oh,
there will be multiple dead strippers.
It'll be somewhere between Fear and Loathing, The Hangover, and Weekend at Bernie's, because I'm gonna get him fucked up.
And it'll all start where Satan just, is like, here, take a sip of this. It's fruit juice.
I had this one drink that
It's absinthe.
It's not GHB. It's certainly not GHB.
Dude, one of the best absinthe drinks, like as the primary alcohol, was absinthe and sweet and sour mix. It's called the Green Gargoyle.
Yep.
It's tasty. One of my other favorite alcohol drinks is are Sazeracs.
Sarsaparilla?
Where'd you have
Sazeracs?
access at?
You could buy it in Arizona.
Oh, I had like the shit with wormwood in Thailand.
Oh yeah, no, you can buy this stuff. It's legal in the United States now.
Is it?
Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. Actual absinthe or
Actual
the absinthe?
It hasn't been for very long, but it actually is.
In the last like 10 years or less, it's been. I think I had a Halloween party that was. We had a green fairy party, so all of it was absinthe drinks, and it was. Oh, where did I order it from? I ordered it through Bevmo, which I don't know if it's kind of like they have every alcohol under the sun, all the wines. If they don't carry it in stock, they'll order it for you and bring it in, then you just pick it up. But yeah, I'm not talking about chartreuse or any of that nonsense.
Okay.
I'm talking about like legit absinthe is legal in the United States. Like you can go online right now.
I was just unaware.
Oh yeah, it was a big deal in like, I think it was like 2009 or maybe. No, it was like 2008 or 2009. Is when it got legalized, and like, well, I went to France and we were allowed to bring it back. So 2007, 2008.
I remember like, it was probably right around then that I ended up having somebody like, because she was a foreign exchange student who was here from Germany, and whenever she left to go back, home, she was coming back to visit, and we kept in touch. I was like, oh, how much would it cost? How much would it cost me to get you to smuggle back me a bottle of absinthe? And she did. Like the shit.
It's like $20.
Oh, not the stuff that'll make you fucking hallucinate.
Well, it's not expensive, at least it wasn't at the time when I was in France and when I bought it here.
It
was
really
like
make you hallucinate.
No, you have to like, yeah. First of all, it's got such a high alcohol content.
Yeah, like
that you're gonna pass out way before you lose. Like people
honestly, man, like when I drank it, I just kind of didn't remember a lot of the night. It just seemed super fuzzy, and we did not drink a lot. But like, it just definitely.
We were tripping balls. Granted, like we smoked a shit ton of fucking weed before we started drinking.
That probably changed the game.
No, like I don't get like visual. I don't get visuals or auditories at all with fucking weed. Like,
but mixing stuff though.
But like we smoked a shit ton of weed and then drank like half bottle of the absinthe. Between the two of us, we were both tripping fucking balls.
And you can let's see. So, were you just drinking it straight? Because that's fucking gross.
No, we were doing Green Russians.
Green Russians. How do you do that?
Absinthe and half and half.
Oh, for a second I thought you were gonna say vodka. And I was like, Jesus fucking Christ.
The only way I've had it two ways: the old school way with the sugar cube and the spoon and all that shit, and you pour water over it, and it.
See, there's what you gotta put in your fucking bar, Satan. A fucking absinthe thing with like the sugar cubes and the ice and the bar,
and the spoon and the
thing.
glass.
Yep.
I had ordered for that party. I ordered this big German blown glass thing that had like it had two bubbles. It looked almost like a bong, but you put ice in the top bubble, and then you pour everything through the ice. And there's like so it goes. There's an opening at the top. There's like a slotted ventilated strainer looking area where you put sugar cubes. You dump the absinthe through it, so it dissolves, that goes through the ice and then goes into the reservoir, and it's got a spigot at the bottom so people can just walk up and fill up their glass. And I made the green gargoyles in that. And yeah, I mean, it's I think the hype behind it and the mystique is greater than it deserves.
I also want to have Vaportinis at the bar too.
What is that?
Ooh, the vapor alcohol where you're drunk for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's a drink that you smoke.
How does that work?
It's essentially you make a martini with fucking Everclear, and with very very little mixer, like literally just enough to barely change the color of the
What do you mix
of
it
the
with?
liquor. Oh well, it depends on what you're doing. Like if you're doing apple tini, then you do it with apple pucker. If you're doing a chocolate martini,
Oh, so
then
you
do
do
it
it
with
the
chocolate
same
liqueur.
as like a normal drink, is
Yeah.
just you use less of it.
Yeah, but like there's special glasses that you do, and you essentially just put these little butane. They look like candles, but they're literally like little single-use butane lighters.
Right.
And there's a straw in it, like right where the smoke collects and everything, and it evaporates the liquor, and you smoke the liquor.
So I wonder how that would work if you put alcohol in a vape rig.
Bad.
I mean, I can't imagine it's good.
That answer was real quick there, bud.
Dude, I saw this video where this guy put a fucking like jalapeno reaper pepper in his
Oh my
dinner
God, I
rig
saw
and he,
that
like,
too.
fucking
I saw that
killed
too.
himself. I was like, and then I was like, what are you doing? I saw another video where some guy put some like jalapeno juice or something in a vape pen, and then he hits it, and then he goes and hits it again, and I'm like, why?
Yeah, I got this. Hold on, I'm gonna put that in the chat.
Are you vaping right now? I vape weed.
Yeah, I vape all the time because it's like a compulsive stress habit. I used to smoke.
Oh yeah. Well,
I smoke cigarettes because I don't care about my health,
I smoke bongs, I smoke bowls,
and I don't want to look like a douche.
See, I love smoking weed, like the bongs and the bowls and stuff, but it's just too harsh on my fucking throat. So I do the vaping. Because you can just vape through like a water pipe, and it's so smooth.
Okay. Oh, this guy, he made another one. Brave man vapes and snorts a trio of super hot peppers.
God, what a fucking idiot this guy is.
Let's see how this works out for him. I'm gonna put both of them. This one's not the original one, so don't watch this one first. You got to watch this one first because it is.
That dude looked like he smoked away his chromosomes.
Oh, he
Like
has.
somebody sapped his fucking
There you
chromies.
go. There you go. Watch that.
Somebody sapped that dude's fucking chromies.
Go ahead, watch it.
No.
It's so good.
I'm definitely gonna have to watch that after this. If I play it now, it'll be playing in the background. And
Oh,
I
it's
have
okay.
no idea if that'll bust YouTube or not.
Who the
It
fuck
won't.
is
There's
anxiety
no
war,
copyright in
Stabby?
it.
Let's see. Say what? What did you say, Stabby? I must have missed that. Sorry.
Who the fuck is anxiety war?
So that was a channel I heard about today where this guy basically does like the Chris Hansen thing, but all on his own in Canada. So like he does the sort of To Catch a Predator kind of shit.
Dude, somebody needs to watch the Carolina Reaper vape.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm not sure if I can watch it on the stream without getting it shut down.
Well, probably because it's not copywritten.
Let's see.
And we're reviewing a not copyrighted
YouTubers.
There's no music in it either.
Do not try this at home.
I read it about 5 minutes. I
Do
think
not
is
try
about when
this
he's
at
about
home.
to.
So let me set it
that
up here
first
real
hit.
quick so you can
I
understand
grow
how he does
Carolina
it. He got
Reapers.
chocolate vape
Last
juice
year I had a good bumper
and he
crop.
crushed up Carolina Reaper and he
I
soaked
ground
it in the
them all
vape
down
juice.
After, as an
And then he
added
puts the vape juice
bonus, 'cause I
on
had to wait another day.
a drip rig,
As an added
and
bonus, it's going to be a
the rest
triple
is
feature.
history.
Like I said, do not try this at home. Okay,
There we go.
vape it first. I got 2 more surprises for you.
This should actually just be showing on the stream at this point.
Oh, is it?
Maybe.
No.
Oh, that point where he does it.
Oh my god, my lungs are on fire!
And then he hits it again. You're right. Wow.
What the fuck is wrong with this dude?
And the second time, he seems to be fucking fine. Comparatively speaking.
My lungs are on fire. It's a fucking gun.
And then he snorts the shit.
Take another hit to calm it down.
Is he gonna snort a second fucking line of it just to make it better? No, and then he puts it in his eye.
Oh, God. Did you legit put it in his fucking eye?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Oh my God! What's wrong with this dude?
Just by looking at the thumbnail, I'm not shocked by any of that.
Why?
How does this dude only have 309 subscribers?
Oh my God. How is this dude still alive?
Probably not. These are from a year ago, so.
No shit. I wonder why he hasn't uploaded lately. Turns out he got a Darwin.
You know what? You know what, guys? You probably have a kid out there somewhere.
Someone did a fan challenge
at some point.
Okay, no, check this out. He probably did. All right, check this out. So I watched this YouTube channel, this show called Hot Ones.
God.
Oh yeah, I love Hot Ones.
Okay, well, that same dude that just did that, a fan challenge. He's gonna vape the Pepper X Hot Ones brand sauce. Now, I'm gonna tell you right now. I have that sauce in my fridge. If you just put a dab on something, it is hot. I mean, it is really hot, but it's good. When I first tried it, somebody basically coated a wing in it, which was a tragic fucking mistake. I mean, I ate it, and I didn't have an adverse reaction to being able to eat it. But man, my mouth literally was burning for 3 fucking hours, and my lips were so on fire that they actually went numb to the touch.
Oh, did you start to get the euphoria and shit?
Oh yeah.
Because sometimes, you eat the fucking spicy stuff, and it's bad enough that on sudden you're like, oh wait a minute, now I feel really good.
Oh yeah.
That's weird.
This is something you're supposed to dab on something, add to. It is not meant to put 3 tablespoons in a Tupperware and shake a whole wing in it and then just eat it. Nah, don't do that. I can't imagine this guy vaping it. I know what I felt like just from eating it. This guy, he is surely dead. This was from 8 months ago, so he's surely dead.
I don't understand.
Ingesting it straight into your fucking seems like a bad idea.
Oh yeah.
The fucking eyeball one is the least understandable of all of those. How could you possibly expect any other outcome?
On the Pepper X one, fast forward to 4 minutes and 55. Look how gnarly thick this stuff is.
Oh yeah, no, I saw that. Yeah, I'm gonna watch that whole fucking video. Are you kidding me? After this, I'm definitely gonna watch that whole fucking video.
Dude, you can see, if you go to about 7 minutes and 20 something seconds, putting that shit on his eye gave him a black fucking eye. The dude literally burst blood vessels in his fucking eye. It gave him a black fucking eye. The fucking hot sauce literally knocked him the fuck out.
You know what, boys? 2 things. 1, I'm going to go to bed. But number 2, I'm going to start my own channel where we can all go on and we just watch people do stupid shit and laugh at it.
I'm fucking in.
Are we going to call it failure accomplished too?
Oh no, are we going to have to start hating each other and doing blood sports afterwards?
No.
Okay.
No, all I know is at the end of this stream, I'm 0-1000. Nobody's beating me, fucking hoe.
Actually, I like this. I like to where that's headed.
We could, we'll have to think of a name. We could just call it Stop Sapping My Chromies.
There you go.
Yeah, I better go to bed.
We probably got to call it a night. I think we've been going for the standard allotment of time.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for joining us, and actually, some people in the audience. What's up, yo?
Hey.
Oh, they're just waiting for us to be done so they can all switch over to Doc Griffin.
No doubt, absolutely. And is that other guy still here? What's his name? Master Kush. Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for coming on.
What?
Oh, calling an end to it. I was just
what was it like filming that insurance commercial with Shaq?
And Samaj and fucking Futter and Satan and Sheepbot.
Don't thank Futter.
Don't thank Futter.
Don't take medical advice.
Thank Futter for leaving early.
Thank Futter for taking his keyboard with him when he left. If he left the keyboard at home, he would have been welcome. No. Anyway, peace out, everybody.
If you're
consider him a friend.
Bye-bye.
Hate him.
If you're gonna vape hot stuff, record it and send it to us.